Hello, hello. Welcome one and all to yet another episode of WhickTV. And for those of you who've been watching a while, you know what today is. But for those of you who are just tuning in, maybe aren't familiar with me yet, Tuesdays are quite often a special segment we do, and we call it Get It Off Your Chest. It's a call-in show where me and a rotating guest host take your calls. So if you've been watching my show and you're like, man, I really wish I could ask Wick about this, or why hasn't Wick talked about that, or I just kind of want to pick Wick's brain on this other thing. Now's your chance. Today is your chance, gang, because my wonderful guest host, 𝕵𝖎𝖎, is going to help field your calls. So how do you call in? Well, it's a pretty simple process. You type !Discord in chat. You click on that link, and then you accept the rules. There'll be some rules, and then you join backstage. And once you join backstage, we'll pull you in, and we can talk about whatever it is you like. So, hi, welcome, Testy Johnson. Always nice to see you. Jenny Burns, Great Sag, Cleft Wonder. Always a pleasure. On my YouTube side, Noah Brown. Hello, welcome. Small Peanut, glad to see you here. The whole gang's here, and I'm glad you're all joining us today. How are you, 𝕵𝖎𝖎? How's it going?
Just great. Whatever.
Just great.
Yeah, this is such an honor, Wick. Like,
It's an
wow.
honor. Okay. Why you gotta be that way? Why you gotta be sarcastic just out the gate here?
Why are you assuming I'm sarcastic?
Uh, I'm using context clues. Okay. I'm using
Okay.
context clues and making inferences.
Mm.
Speaking of making inferences and context clues, have you seen the recent Crowder drama? Have you been following that at all?
Yes, unfortunately. Of course I have.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on other people's personal lives.
By all means.
uh, he is obviously just playing out the character that we've known him for years to be, is red-pilled cringe lord. And he's like an honest actor. He does it at home. Lo and behold, surprise, surprise. So, um, it's also we don't know what the hell happened before that fight for the years beforehand. And if you look at relationships and fights, that was like a nothing burger fight. Yeah, he said, "I don't love you." It could be abusive, but like I've been in and seen like some crazy shit. So they're not monsters. No one should care. You know? I don't know.
I mean, you may have a point when it comes to no one should care, right?
Yeah.
And yes, there are. It's very possible that right before then she was like kicking the family dog or something. I don't know, right? But at the same time, to say that that wasn't kind of coercive and abusive
Oh, it
and
totally was.
controlling,
But like,
I
why
don't
is everyone
know.
surprised? Very controlling, right? Um, yeah, very childish of him, even. Like it was so,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
But like,
But people are conflating it to abusive, and I'm just like,
you don't
I
think it
don't
is?
know.
You don't think controlling is a form of abuse, though?
Yeah, sure. So, but like, okay, like I even got this theory in my head. What if she was going to see her lover? Um, Okay, okay. I personally think he's an abusive shit, probably, right? I really personally do. But we don't know the whole thing. So just stupid hypothetical. What if he or she was going to see her lover and they both know about it, but they don't want to talk about it because people, right? So then he's like just trying to get her to not use the car so that he can control that and not have him go
Look,
have her go
I
sleep
mean,
around. That makes sense,
first
right?
of
It'd be
all,
a little weird.
no cow Mike, thank you for the Prime sub. 10 months, almost a year. Nice to see you. Thank you, thank
Mike's
you.
a loser.
So second of all, I mean, even in that kind of fan fiction that you just put forward, right? Even in that fan fiction where he's just trying to keep her from seeing her lover,
Childish,
right?
retarded. Yeah.
It's still kind of abusive. I mean, you can understand it more, perhaps, right? You could be like,
Mhm.
okay, I get it, but it's still not acceptable. It's not good behavior. Like if this idea, right, that just because someone's abusive to you gives you right to be abusive to them, or
Right.
just because someone's
Exactly.
hurting you means you can hurt them.
Right.
That's only.
Like, okay, I totally get it. If
Does that make
someone
sense?
actually physically hit me, I might be like, "Oh my God," and then hit them back, but it doesn't mean me hitting them back is the right thing. And
It
if it
could
wasn't like,
be, right? Like it
right,
could be, but
if
it's
my
not
life was
always,
threatened,
right?
yeah, if my life was threatened, it's a good thing. But if it's not threatened and I just want revenge, hitting, like, that's still bad.
Mm.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's understandable, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that like when it comes to the video, yes, there's only 3 minutes, but that's not the only information we have on this situation.
Exactly.
We have his takes going back for years. We have
Yeah.
the way he's treated others in public, right? Like
Yeah.
we have other data to kind of
Be like, "Oh,
collect
wow, he
to make
actually treats his wife
inferences,
like he
right?
treats everyone else that we've seen." So it's like, why is everyone surprised? We know he's an asshole. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it was a dog, first of all, gang. That's my doggy. That's my puppy, Tinkerbell. And you will not slander Tinkerbell's name. Tinkerbell is the best of us. Okay, I'm saying it right now. Tinkerbell is the best of us here. We even got an emote for Tinkerbell in the chat. So if you're a subscriber, you can put her lovely face on whenever you like. So there you go. Just one of the many benefits from giving me subs, gang. Right. So if you've some money in the bank, you want to donate to the channel. But gang, this is a call-in show. So now that more of you are here, we are doing open call-ins today. So me and Durka are going to take your calls to talk about whatever you like. So if you've had some takes on the Crowder situation you want to spout off on, if you have takes on other things that we aren't talking about that you would like to talk about, join this Discord. Join backstage. Hop backstage. We'll pull you on and we'll talk to you about whatever it is that you want to talk about, because it's a show called Get It Off Your Chest. So if you've been holding in things and you've been wanting to talk about it, now is the time. So come on in. Come on in and say hi.
I have something I want to get off my chest quick. No,
Oh,
Kel
go.
is an amazing person. I was joking. Okay, bye.
What?
No.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like, we all have this phenomenon, and I understand why we do it, but we see bits of people's lives that are shown to us online. We see things from certain angles, and then we make all sorts of assumptions based on that limited data.
Mhm.
And once we cement our opinion in place, it becomes very, very hard to shift it, right?
Yes.
I think it's okay to make inferences and assumptions as long as when you are presented with new data, when you are presented with different angles, that you are willing to change those assumptions. And I think
Yeah.
that's where we get into trouble here. But that is what it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't capable of doing that. And I think, like, in my life, I've been very privy to people's super long backstories, like really distant lore, even though they're like, kind of shitty today. When you understand their upbringing and like what happened to them, you can understand why they're that kind of person today. You know what I mean? It's not excusing their behavior now, but it's like they're not just evil for the sake of evil. You know what I mean?
Very few people are. I think
Hmm.
most, and this to kind of bring it back to the political stage, right? I think this is a mistake people make with political opponents. They think that the people who think different from them in a political sense are legitimately evil. Like, how
Hmm.
can you believe this? How can you possibly believe X, Y,
Yeah.
or Z? If you believe X, Y, or Z, you have to be a hateful, spiteful, dumb person, right? And they
Right.
put all these aspersions upon the people that just have a different way of viewing the world. Like, they
Yeah.
hold different values. There are a lot of people, right, that would say conservatives are cruel,
Mm.
that conservatives, by wanting people not to have access to social safety nets,
Yeah,
are
selfish
are
and
cruel,
yeah.
selfish, etc. But most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, they simply value different things. Now, I disagree with their values, right? I think I'm a big social safety net kind of guy, right? But
Right.
it would be a mistake to just assume that because they don't have the same values I do, that they are evil or wrong. But we have a caller. Oh, go on.
Oh, perfect. Well, like what I notice is conservatives, like they usually want the best for people, but they want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and not rely on everyone else and contribute to society. But they want people to live happily. They just don't want to like give handouts because they're afraid that people are going to stay on the handouts.
No, this is not Stabby, gang. This is 𝕵𝖎𝖎. This is 𝕵𝖎𝖎. Let me
What
bring
the
in
hell? How am I?
Testicle Johnson. Okay, our first caller of the day. You're breaking the seal, buddy. Hi.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, do we get to see you today or not?
No.
Okay.
See, I'm too like impulsive, and like I'll call in on a whim. I saw nobody was calling in, so as usual, I pity you, and I'm like, I'll just call in.
I appreciate the pity.
Right? Yeah, right. So, I do have a camera. I'll set it up maybe next time. How about that? But to get things kicked off, because I did see some stuff on Twitter, which I think I saw Portland. I think Portland was supposed to call in and bitch about this, so hopefully he shows up.
I'm sure he can too, but go ahead, hit me.
Well, I'm going to post this in chat just so people know what I'm talking about. But there is that case with that kid who was sent home from school, and it's because he was wearing a shirt that said there are only two genders. And now it's, I don't know, it's causing some waves. 12-year-old student in Massachusetts was sent home wearing a t-shirt that says there are only two genders, which he was told made other students feel unsafe. And I don't have your tweet in reply, but I believe you are defending this child's First Amendment right. Is that correct?
It is. I think that people should be able to express their political beliefs on a t-shirt, even if they're a child, even if they're in school. Yes.
Okay. What? I didn't realize this would be a 2v1. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, okay, First Amendment, I get it. You guys are Americans, say whatever you want, do whatever. I think... Oh, are you? Fuck. God damn, I'm just really fucking this up.
That's true, but we still allow you to do so because we believe in your right to make yourself look like a fool. Go ahead.
And I do it well. I take pride in it.
Sure.
So here would be my counter. Not a counter. Here's another question. I'm just gonna suss this out. Do you believe in like the whole like separation of like church and state? Like, do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
okay. Do you think that extends to like public school system, where there shouldn't be like religiosity or political statements, things like that nature that are made in school or be allowed in
not
school?
by the staff,
depending on where your
by the staff.
Parents choose to send your children. So like I went to a Catholic school, Catholic Ukrainian school. So
damn.
So here's the thing. Like, I think that even the staff should be, it's okay for the staff to express their opinions. What separation of church and state means is no prayers led in the classroom. Like no classroom led prayer. That doesn't mean that someone can't pray privately, right? In a school or something. Like I was religious when I went to public schools, right? I was very religious, and I said a prayer before every meal, and that was my right, and no one could stop me, right?
Exactly.
Wait, so okay, this might lead to a tangent, but do you believe in something like maybe like a prayer room for like Muslim students? Like,
why would it offend you that someone is praying just over their meal real quick?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not offended. I don't give a fuck. I'm just people can pray. People do whatever the fuck they want.
Wait, you want little baby Wick to be ostracized and put away to like a separate room so he could pray and do something like good? Like it's objectively good. He's like.
I'm more thinking like, this leads into a whole other thing. So you know how Muslims like pray towards Mecca and all that? Yeah,
they should be able to.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. They can do whatever the fuck they want. But it would be kind of weird if you're just like in the middle of class and you start praying. You're like,
it's disturbing the class. Yeah, right. I understand.
Which is the reason I proposed a prayer room.
But at lunchtime, like he should be able to like just pray right there.
So I'm not a Muslim. I'm not going to pretend to know the tenets of Islam, but I do know they have to do this
at a certain
X amount of time a day, right? I'm not sure if there's a specific time or not, right?
Okay, this is adjacent to my point, I guess. But I mean, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you guys are saying. I don't have a problem with kids and stuff praying in school or whatever. I'm just saying whether or not it should be influenced by like the state, because it does become involved. I agree with you as well about the definition
There
of
should
the
be no
separation of church and
mandatory
state.
prayer and political, talks. But like, if the student
just
wants
seems-
to talk about,
I guess it's a bit of a slippery slope for me. Like, what if somebody comes to school and they're wearing like a God hates 𝕬𝖎 shirt, and they're making like some like egregious sort of statement in that nature, or you know, like you could say black.
Okay, so this is a problem with like things like egregious sorts of statements, and I understand, right? Like, I think like if it was pornography or something like that was then okay,
speech,
maybe,
right?
right?
I think that's what you're talking about.
But when it comes to things, something like just because it's provocative, just because it makes people angry, that's not sufficient for me, because a lot of people would be angry if they saw a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. That is provocative. It makes certain people feel unsafe. It makes certain people feel insecure. That cannot be the standard that we use to make these judgments. Like, it cannot be, I don't feel comfortable, because I don't care, right, if someone doesn't feel comfortable when I express my political views. I'm not expressing my political views to make them feel comfortable. I'm doing it because it's what I believe. And I think a child, even a 12-year-old, should have the right to express their political views, even if it makes people uncomfortable.
Okay.
Oh, well,
so
right?
By the way, props to this child for telling the truth. Good job.
Fuck that kid. The point is,
don't fuck children. Okay,
okay, I didn't mean like that. I just mean like I don't even. Yeah, you can say whatever.
Yeah,
you can
don't
say.
fuck children.
He can make whatever statement he wants. My whole thing is, like you said, that you can't just pray in class because it would be disruptive.
No, you can't have you can't have teacher-led prayer. You can pray in class. I prayed before tests.
Like out loud?
In my head.
Yeah,
I bowed my head. I did the thing. I folded my arms. Right? I'll show you. I folded my arms.
Like I love Genie.
And I prayed. Silently. Right? I did before every test. I was very religious back then.
That's fine. I guess
that wasn't disruptive. It didn't disrupt the classroom, and I think it's fine.
You don't think that somebody wearing a T-shirt like that would be like disrupt? And then, if everybody's coming to school making some sort of political like statement, you don't think that's disruptive to like the point of education?
It might be disruptive, but the solution to that isn't to say you can't make political statements, right?
I think for children, it's totally acceptable.
You're teaching students that you can ban political statements. That's what you're doing. Is you're teaching students that like if you don't like it, you can force people to like do something else.
In school, I don't like that's not the place. There's a time and a place for that shit. I don't think high school or elementary school even is like, maybe college. Sure, college and university, I would agree. That's when you're supposed to be like, say whatever the fuck you want. That's when you're learning and you have your causes and you just took your philosophy 101 and you're like, hey, I want to go think that I can change the world. Do whatever. Be an idealist. I just think that, and also here's another thing. I think that at that age, especially at the age of 12, I don't think a 12-year-old understands like the nuances of gender to be able to.
When I went to school, everyone was wearing 𝕍 Rivera t-shirts and a lot of communist.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, do you remember that? And no one freaked out about that. That's political statements, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, but nobody knew anybody.
No, but it was an aesthetic. Anybody.
It was an aesthetic. Nobody knew shit about Che Guevara.
Okay, yes, but just because someone doesn't know that they're making a political statement doesn't mean they're making a political statement. It's not about intent, right? It doesn't matter their intent, right?
It doesn't matter if they're totally ignorant to the topic.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, this isn't like this isn't a court of law, okay? We aren't required to suss out intent. We can simply look at results, and we can simply look at like the after effects of the consequences, if you will. And I think that the consequences for banning political statements on t-shirts are going to far outweigh the potential harms of allowing someone to wear a shirt that makes people uncomfortable.
I agree with you.
Johnson, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So if someone wore a flag on their shirt that was the gay pride flag or the trans flag, would you say that is a political statement?
That's a fucking loaded question. You're trying to get me in trouble.
It absolutely is a political statement.
No, but, okay.
Do you want to brand trans flag pride shirts?
Wow. Even people who don't agree with it, they will be like, it's acceptable that you choose to wear this.
You know what the hair that we're splitting here is that you guys are speaking like very like broadly, and I agree with you in like general society. My like my little sliver of the argument is that we're talking about like high school students and elementary school students, and I don't think just because they can wear these fucking things, they could say whatever the fuck they want. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Okay, maybe that's egregious, and you're like, I'm putting my own shit onto it. My whole point is that they don't understand these concepts. Like, it's like the whole fucking argument of like the conservatives always make
Like,
about
you don't
like how they're
understand
this
the trans
ideology
concept,
that they're
so we
trying.
shouldn't be teaching trans in schools. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, see, this is like the biggest goddamn straw man. All I'm saying is, I think school is a place for learning. I think things like this would be disruptive to the learning process, and I think for that like, there's dress codes. There's dress codes in school. Why don't you like fucking kids wear like short skirts
allowing
and all this other bullshit? Then
I think
that's just their
someone...
First Amendment, man. They're allowed to express themselves.
Well, I have problems with dress codes in general. Like, I have problems with dress codes across the board. Okay?
I never even wore the uniform at my uniform school. Like, I was, yeah. And no one, like, kicked me out. That would be destructive. They're like, she wants to be a rebel, let her be a rebel. Whatever.
But for now...
No, the point of... Well, okay, goddammit. All right, fuck you guys. All right, thank you.
To the void! To the void! Oh, Portland, he's not stealing your thunder, I promise. You can call in, too. We have a bit of a line, but that's okay. We'll get through them.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, no, just to kind of put a cap on this, right? Unless Azzy wants to talk about it. But again, like, yes, schools are a place for learning. And one of the best lessons you can teach a child is that even if someone is making a shirt that makes you uncomfortable, they have the right to wear that shirt. That is a great lesson. Talk about learning. Talk about a learning environment. Talk about a teachable moment. That absolutely is a teachable moment. And if it's disrupted because you feel unsafe, that's a fucking you problem, right? You need to change that. We need to teach you how to tolerate dissenting views, right? Because otherwise, you're going to turn into these little authoritarian little shits.
Yeah, you got to learn to accept others for being different. Yeah, that's a good lesson for kids.
Next caller, Azzy. Hello, you're live on air.
Hello.
What's going on?
Yo, can we see you today? We got the lovely camera for the lovely Azzy.
You can't see me, man. Look at that, man. I got my whole face there, bro.
Very not as expressive as we normally get, though.
Hold on, man. Y'all asked for a lot. Let me get this together. I even shaved my beard and everything. Let's do this. Not shaved, trimmed.
Okay.
I just don't want my whole OBS to crash. Oh, it worked. Okay.
Okay, what's up, brother? How's it going?
I'm doing all right. So, do you want me to just complain, or do you want me to uplift?
This is all you. This is your choice, dealer's choice, friend. Get it off your chest.
I would prefer complain about Wick, please.
Okay, Wick, you've been grifting a lot, bro. You need to start tapping into your network, bro. You've come from like the primacy, and you haven't talked to us in a while, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have all these. I
raise Prime every Monday. I send my viewers to Prime almost every Monday.
Yeah, but what about the grassroots individuals that you communicated with while with Prime?
You're welcome on my show, right?
You never invite me though, bro. I gotta like storm my way. I gotta open my own doors.
Storm your way in. You mean you have to DM me saying, "Hey, this is an interesting topic. Can I talk about it with you?" That's what storming it in it means, right? And you absolutely are welcome, right? Anytime you want to anytime you see me talking about something, and you're like, "Hey, I went in on this." Just DM me, and if there's room, I'll let you in, buddy.
On closed panels too, like VIP.
Yeah, you gotta reach out the people, Wick. You know.
You're a man of the people, man. Okay. You have no platform with us.
There's no room for him. How does he even know? You're the one who has to find people, Wick. You're trying to weasel your way out of this one. Why haven't you invited him, Wick?
Azzy, I do want to do a panel on this topic that I don't know if you listened earlier.
The one just now?
Yes.
About
and
separation
I think well, it's not just separation of church and state, right? There's a lot to it, but I think that is one of the aspects to it. I'm not sure when I'm going to do this panel, but I do want to do this panel. Probably maybe Monday, maybe next Friday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But when I do have this panel, I'd love to have you on. How's that for an official invite?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm
Okay.
I'll be there.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wick, but remember, you
just
have
gotta-
to remember to invite him. He doesn't know when your schedule is.
I'm
you can
inviting him
you can
now. I don't know how else to invite him though, because I don't know my schedule either. I don't know when I'm doing this. I don't know when I'm doing this show.
I'm trying to get out of a date. Like,
This is
you know what
this
I mean?
is it happens when it happens, bro. This is like you know what I'm saying?
Terrible, Wick.
I'll see you when I see you, bro.
What else you got for us today?
So we I was gonna ask you so what are the topics that are most on your mind right now? What do you want to talk about next? Next 3.
Ooh, personally, or what am I actually going to talk about? Like, what if I could ideally choose any topics that my audience was interested in, or do I have to go with what my audience is actually interested in?
No, I mean, is this platform just to give topics that your audience is
Not
interested in, or is
just.
it to get into? Okay,
Not
so you can
just.
answer this however you want to answer
Okay,
this.
so again, I want to talk about the shirts in schools, like freedom of speech for children in schools. I think that's an interesting topic. I want to discuss it. I want to discuss OnlyFans links being allowed on Twitch and things like that. I think that's related to the freedom of speech topic, to be honest, in schools. I mean, it's not the same, but it is related. So that is a topic I want to discuss. Another topic that I've been thinking of a lot, but I think we've done this to death, so I don't think I'll make it a show for a while. I want to talk about parasocial relationships. We've done that a lot, though. Like, we've done that a lot.
No, but it's fun. Yeah.
Which aspects have you discussed, and which aspects do you think we haven't touched upon?
No, we've touched. I think we've run the gamut on parasocial.
Runs the gambit.
I've run the gamut. We've run the gamut on this. I think that most of the topics have been discussed. I do, however, think that we haven't really delved into like good solutions for it. But that's the thing. Every time I try, because I've tried to have solutions-based panels before, it doesn't go well because no one can do. Everyone wants to argue about like the effects and the causes, I should say. Like, we all can agree that this is a problem, but very few people can agree on what's causing the problem and where the angles
on the
are
top of
coming
my
from.
head, it's like if you don't have a really strong social life and strong connections in real life, which is why people would attach to someone online.
So maybe you could talk about why do people traffic themselves into parasocial positions? So we're talking about the streamer position. Why do people relegate them? I want to, for lack of better words, relegate themselves into trafficking themselves because
for the money.
For the money.
Yeah, for the money and the fame, right?
Because I compare that to human trafficking.
Obviously, it's not the same.
Why?
Well, one is voluntary, and the other is very much not.
But okay, so
human trafficking is when, and to be clear, human trafficking is an involuntary thing. Like, people don't choose to be human trafficked; they get human trafficked. Whereas streamers, I make the decision to push that button, right?
So you're trafficking yourself.
Yeah, he's whoring himself.
It's not trafficking because, again, I'm not being forced
and that's why I think
you
should make this. I think you should make this a panel discussion because I think that you, even from their own volition, you said when I asked you to give me 3 ideas for your next 3 topics for your next big videos or live streams, you're like, oh, you're talking about for what my community wants or what that I want. So it's like, are you trafficking yourself for your community, or you're doing this because you're having fun doing this?
Wait, it sounds like he's like a good partner in a relationship. He's thinking like, what would my partner want?
But we're not his partner. We're not his. We're not. You're more
relationships. You don't know what he thinks. Maybe he's like, okay. You guys give me life. You guys make me feel alive.
So this is okay. So his responsibility is to make content as a content creator. And everybody else's responsibility, if they don't have responsibilities, it's just their it's up to their volition to add a comment. right? And that's just the nature of the relationship. So he doesn't even have to make anything for their consumption, or at least to their appetite. He can just put out the stuff that he wants to do, whenever he wants to do it, and then whoever comments will be like, that's his unique community. They're liking him for his ideas. Wick isn't just putting stuff out just because people want it. Otherwise, I say, like, you're like trafficking yourself, Wick. Don't do that. It's dangerous,
a hybrid thing. Like, if you want to drive traffic to your site, which I do, you do topical discussions. Now, there are certain topics I don't give a shit about that are topical. And if I don't give a shit about it, I don't do it. But if I'm semi-interested
drives
in it,
traffic, right? Go ahead.
If I'm semi-interested in it, because there's a lot of topical things out there. Like, it's not just one big topical thing that everyone's talking about. There's several. And so I have a choice. And so I choose the one that's most interesting to me. And sometimes I do topics and I do shows that don't drive a lot of traffic to my site. The call-in shows are my least viewed shows. But I like to do it, right? But I like to do it. So I'll throw these up, right? And I'll
like
talk,
it's
right?
it's not black and white. Like it's quite.
Oh yeah, I'm not making it black and white. I'm just saying that it's still along the realms. If you're going to compare the two, we would have to critically go down. That's why I think it's a good topic. Go down the other than the autonomous and the inadvertent use of people's bodies.
Like
that's
autistic topic.
Fairly
like it's
no, because then it gets into OnlyFans and it gets into kids who want to wear their shirts and speak their truth, right?
Vaguely.
For their ideologies, for their freedoms.
Yeah. I don't think it has a direct connection as you're.
Yeah, it doesn't. Because
I know what you're talking about.
It is like you grooming yourself, like, and you could groom yourself for yourself, but also for
no.
others.
What he's talking about,
anything.
There's a term for what he's talking about. It's called audience capture, right? So what audience capture is?
For capturing audience.
No, what audience capture is when the audience of a content creator captures the creator, right? Pens them in. So even if they wanted to change their content,
right,
the audience will lead them if they do. So they feel obliged to continue producing the same content they always have because they're afraid of losing their audience if they make a change that they want. This happens in the scientific community, like when scientists start a blog or a Substack and they get a sizable audience. They are incentivized to present certain findings because that's what they get famous for. So one of the, I forget his name, but one of the scientists that started a blog, an anti-vaccine blog, because he was one of the people who was against the vaccine, at least at first. He expressed later on that it was very hard for him once he came around on the data to actually change his position because he felt so many financial incentives to continue to push an anti-vaccine narrative, right? And it was very, very difficult for him because he thought the data wasn't there initially. He became convinced after seeing more of the data come out, but he didn't right away switch because he worried that his audience would abandon him. And so that's what audience capture is.
Yeah, so that's the so now the only reason I bring up the I think the only reason I bring this up is like we should analyze the dichotomy between trafficking yourself and being trafficked by other people, because this is how they're both similar. We're only going to we're only reason we're keyword traffic. We're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that we can able to capture some type of audience through what they desire. And the reason why this is in tandem with OnlyFans, because OnlyFans taps into the vices that we always speak against, or some people will go out of their way to say, oh, no, this is free, this is the way people want to live, so we should allow them to do so, right? It's their freedoms, so this is why we were so interested in whether Andrew Tate was a human trafficker or pimp or not, and why it's so hard to like pin him down, because the women are saying, oh, we're agreeing to what Andrew was talking about. We're not being human trafficked, but other people will say, well, he coerced and abused them, so he is human trafficking. So it's like
manipulated them.
it manipulated them. Yeah. So it's some type of abuse or trauma going on that some people are agreeing to and some people aren't. So that's why I feel like it's a fun topic. And then you can use buzzwords like Andrew Tate and bring people in, bro. Hit that traffic. Throw them in a thumbnail.
I just don't think that trafficking is the word you want here.
Bring the tater tots into the chat, bro. Yeah, man.
Tater tots?
The tater tots, man. The top G's, bro.
The top G's? Are they tater tots? I don't know.
The Tates, the tater tots, bro.
Azzy, thank you for calling in.
All right, man.
I will have you on more, I promise you, right? I will reach out more, right?
Right.
It's a two-way street. My DMs are always open, okay?
And I DM you, man. You barely respond, bro. Actually, no,
I'm gonna look. The last time you DM'd me, no, stay. We're gonna see. The last DM I got from you, right, was Wick. Is this a closed thing on April 10th?
Yeah. I was trying to get on. That's exactly what I was talking about. Okay. Is my mic too loud?
But you DM'd me in the middle of a panel. No, I'm not gonna respond to you in the middle of a panel. Right?
Bro, I'm a VIP, bro. I'm a VIP. Turn that bell notification on for my DMs, man. So you can
Azzy, you're going to the void, buddy. You can be VIP in the void. But no, if okay, so I guess I'll just say this. If you want on my show, there's a way to get on my show, right? It's not a foolproof method. Like, I only have so many slots in a panel. But if you want on a panel, DM me. Say, hey, this panel looks cool. I want on it. And if we got room, we'll let you on, right? And do it before the show, right? Don't do it like 10 minutes before the show either. You know what I mean? Like, often on Twitter, I will post like, hey, I'm looking for people to talk about X on this day. And yeah, shoot your shot. I generally go first come, first serve, but that's not always the case, right? Because sometimes one position will have a lot of people wanting on it, and another position will want only a few. So obviously I try to keep things balanced, but yeah.
You're so special.
I don't know. It's not hard. Let's bring on the next guest. Hello.
Hello.
You're live on air. Hello.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello.
there you are.
Alright, so I guess we're all here now, huh?
I guess so, right? What you got on? What you got on tap for us? What did you call in to talk about?
I mean, I guess on Twitter I recently came out against Keffels about something.
Okay. What about?
I mean, it was just kind of like she decided to burn the bridge with me, and it's like, hey, I have no loyalties, so why not?
What happened?
I kind of just revealed that she lied about the part where she did not condone harassment. I mean, I showed that she clearly did encourage that type of stuff.
Can you elaborate? Can you be more specific? Like, this is very vague. So let me ask you directly, okay? So you're saying you burned the bridge with Keffels because she lied. What did she lie about specifically?
Well, it wasn't because she lied. It's because she kind of just kicked me to the curb, and I have no excuse to cover. No, she, wanted. I asked her if she wanted me to, go troll no comment chick on her live stream, and I'm like, and she's like, yeah. And of course,
Like, what does that mean, troll? Like, did you ask anything specific? Like, what was the plan?
Well, I mean, a screenshot that I did actually send to no comment chick's editor. I thought I didn't send it to you, but I basically was gonna go on and cam up and throw my tits out on stream.
Oh, to try to get her deplatformed?
Yep.
Oh, so like
I mean,
actual like bad stuff to other and Keffels was aware that you were gonna go to that extreme?
yeah.
Okay, so Keffels a bad person. Wow, that's like so shocking.
Well, I mean,
Sorry,
how
sorry.
bad? I mean,
I'm not trying to say what you're saying is not interesting, but like, yeah, she's a bad person. Thank you for
yeah,
the additive stuff. Hmm.
yeah. But I mean, it's just more to the pile, I guess.
Yeah. So like, were
I
you
mean,
friends with her?
we were friends for a few months. Of course, I mean, there was like this because it was like basically a two-post thread because I didn't want to reveal all my cards, clearly. And 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 under the second, part of it, retweeted and over Keffels calling her the 𝕵𝖎𝖎, which is like no shocker. She does that to everybody, right?
Wait, the tarred one?
Yeah.
Uh, that's not a slur. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Twitch is. I mean, I'm new to, the uh speaking on Twitch, you know what I'm saying? On YouTube, it's just like, someone in my chat, drops the N-word. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, don't
After
do
you,
that here,
you
please.
know what I mean?
No, I get you. I guess let me try this, right? So is this the only thing that Keffels asked you to do? First of all, did Keffels ask you to do this, or did you suggest it to Keffels and she said okay?
I mean, it was something I brought up and she okayed. So it
Okay.
was more me who was on,
Did
Were
you
you
see
doing
her?
it?
Oh, go
Sorry,
on.
go ahead. Well, I was just wondering, like, were you doing it to try to please her, or like, you just don't like no comment chick?
I mean, I guess it was to make her happy, I guess, at the time, yeah.
Did this happen, like, was this the only incident? Do you know of other incidents where people approach Keffels saying, I want to try to get this person deplatformed, so I'm going to do X, Y, or Z to get them deplatformed. Can I do it? Do you have my blessing? And that Keffels said yes to? Or is this the only one you know of?
This is the only one I know of because I don't know. I'm guessing she has some type of whatever change of heart or whatever, I guess, after getting out of rehab. I'm assuming. Because the thing that, Keffels I actually fell out for was one of her moderators, I guess, banned me on YouTube out of spite or something, and I was trying to like get that like undone. Like it was just like the most dumb petty thing to kind of like throw to fall out over. You would seem. In
Portland
context of
is... Oh, just real quick. Portland is burning. Thank you for the gift sub. Gang, give me money. Okay, carry on.
So it was just like, I don't know. I'm guessing out of rehab, she wants to like clean up her image and clean up everything she's doing. I'm guessing.
Mm.
But she did this after rehab?
Yes, after rehab, her and I fell out. I mean, her and I fell out just yesterday, so it's just like,
Oh,
okay.
No,
so
I'm not.
she's
Not.
not trying to be a good person.
No. To be clear, when you suggested this, was this after rehab? When you
No,
suggested
no, no.
getting...
This was back when she was, deep on cocaine. So I guess
Okay, so
Oh, okay.
that's kind of what I wanted to know. So someone's asking me to ask you if you're the doll person.
yes, the same person.
Okay, what's that about? Can you give us a kind of TLDR? I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I mean, I guess as a female masker, you're wearing silicone mask as a face, and basically, I look like Mr. Girl's girlfriend.
Oh, fair
You
enough.
know what I'm saying?
Okay, I mean, sure.
Is
I
that
guess to
like
put it in a
autogonophilia? Like you like to dress up like a woman for sexual gratification?
well, I guess it's deeper than that because I swerve most guys who like come at me on dating sites. I swerve all of them, in fact.
Sorry, I don't know what that means. Swerve? Like you just say no?
Yeah, I say no.
Wait. But that's not what I was asking. Like autogynephilia is like you just get aroused by feeling like you are like dressed up like this, or
Well, I mean, it doesn't like. I mean, I don't like get aroused. I mean, it's just like something I'll enjoy.
how come? Why do you like dressing up like a woman?
Well, I mean, it's just like I mean, I came up in a household that I would literally get dragged by a truck and hung by a tree if I came out as trans. I would have been murdered. So it was just like,
Right. Or do you think you're free now in your circumstances to be trans?
I'm in Texas. Look at the news.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't mean to press you on this too much. It's
Yeah.
just a question in chat.
Yeah, I
I
mean, if I
guess.
was in a blue state, I mean, goddamn, I would be like
Well,
doing the like normal thing,
yeah. Let me ask you this then. Do you think that like do you find that the online community is respectful or inclusive towards you? Like you said, you fall out with the Keffels community, right? Was it just Keffels herself, or was it her community as a whole?
I mean, like anytime you're in any community, some people are gonna like you, some people are not. So
Sure.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, those, and there's overlap with other communities. I mean, like, so I have friends who are still a part of that, community in other communities because
Oh,
I'm still a moderator of DPS, um, at Leftyville, and there's people from there over there as well.
okay. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the class? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I guess there was something you were going to ask me about as far as like that I've already talked about on Stardust, but I mean,
So yeah, tell us about that if you'd like. Like apparently, so okay, just for the audience, this individual DM'd me screenshots of payments from a corporation or an individual, I forget which. You could clarify in your statement here. Of someone paying you to spread disinformation on trans issues.
Ooh.
no. It was
Oh,
not
was it
that at
not?
all. No.
Okay, then that's why I'm asking. Clarify for us, please.
It was basically uh leftier than now content that purposely makes people not want to vote, so that the Republicans would actually
So
have an
voting suppression, basically.
basically, yes, that's basically it.
Who paid you?
It was an outfit known as it was an LLC, Texas Caregiver Support Network, which is basically kind of like a tax shelter type of deal for a guy named 𝕵𝖎𝖎.
So a tax shelter run by a man named by the name of 𝕵𝖎𝖎. You allege paid you in order to spread voter suppression information among leftist spaces. Is that correct?
I mean, it was information to essentially blackpill into like voting suppression. Yes.
Okay. How much did they pay you?
I was paid $400 a month.
For how
Damn.
long?
I mean, this was going on for a long, long time. I mean, because I was originally more right leaning before I tried to come out, as trans, and I, got shat on back then, and like hard because it's like
Mhm.
it pretty much got canceled by a bunch of rightoids.
So, what made you decide to come clean, like, and give up $400 a month in order to um expose 𝕵𝖎𝖎, right?
Well, I mean, I was let go basically.
Oh, so they fired you? Okay.
Yep.
Why did they fire you?
Basically, you couldn't afford it anymore. I mean, I mean, I'm just like, well, you could have sent me like 3 months payment, and had me sign a non-disclosure agreement, and this wouldn't be going on, right? I could figure out what I'm going to do with 3 months pay.
I suppose. Um, Okay.
And to be honest, like before, in between, last night in between, talking to you and finally coming on, I kind of messaged Keffels on her second account. And I'm like, hey, if you would have just had me sign an NDA and send me hush money, I wouldn't have done that. I would have kept.
So you blackmailed Keffels?
Yeah.
I didn't blackmail. I've already did it. Blackmail is meaning I say, hey, if you do this, I won't. If I do it, if I think we'll talk, then it isn't blackmail legally.
Okay, you went to Keffels and you said, I won't say this if you give me hush
No,
money.
I already did it. I'm just saying, hey, this could have been avoided if.
Okay, fair enough. No, I understand. Okay, yeah, wow, okay. So I don't know what else to ask, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that people are having me do fuck shit that make and it's like, if you want me to keep that shit secret, I can. That option is available.
Oh, fair enough,
so your
gang.
loyalty can be bought. You're letting everyone know. Okay.
How much do you charge for loyalty?
I mean, to be honest, for Keffels, it probably would have just been like $100.
$100.
Which is nothing to her,
Fair enough, gang. Okay, well, now you know. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you sharing your story with us. But for now, go to the void. That sounded like blackmail to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It sounded like blackmail. If you do this, I won't do this. Right?
He even said hush money.
Yeah, that sounds like blackmail. I don't know. It sounds like blackmail. What?
I do feel for him that he can't transition in his
yeah,
or feels like he can't.
Unfortunate.
There's probably a community around if he tried, but yeah, it's hard when the people close to you aren't accepting.
Gang, right? If you like the content, I too can be bribed, okay? I can be bribed into giving you better content, but you got to pay for it, right? If you don't pay for it, this is what you get, okay? This is what you get. Let's bring on the next contestant on this wonderful game show. Peanut, what's up?
Peanut!
You're live.
I'm here to save everybody. I'm here to save
Are you going to save us? Really? Okay.
Let me mute. I don't know what the hell that was. This is why I don't go on the internet like that. I'm frozen, aren't I?
Yeah.
Wait, go. Okay, there we go. Why am I frozen?
I don't know.
Listen, while I figure this out, I want to talk about a panel idea. You know what? If I keep freezing, you guys know what I look like.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just not working out.
What you got for us? Pitch it to us. Go ahead.
So, first off, I have to give Testy props because he told me to give him props. And second of all, we had a conversation about with the rise of neurodivergency with the stuff with social media. And I thought that was really interesting because, you go on TikTok and all that shit. And you see people are like, yeah, I have ADHD because I do XYZ. And it's like, they're just like, you could say role-playing having ADHD, but they really don't have it. And we see that a lot now on like Twitter and everything like that. It's been like a huge thing of, well, now everybody's neurodivergent. And the people that aren't are like really in the minority, I guess, now. I don't know. What do you think? Because I know I had a conversation about this with you, Wick, but I think it's interesting and the topic idea.
If I could go first, I
Yeah.
remember in school, I wouldn't and a few others wouldn't be paying attention in class, and instead we'd be doodling or we'd be passing notes. And it's not like we're incapable of paying attention. We just didn't give a shit about that specific thing we're talking about. And that's not like I'm incapable of it. It's just it bored the hell out of me. You know what I mean? So that's not like ADHD. There was a legit ADHD kid in class. That was something. ADHD. Yeah. No, in the middle of class, he'd be like, and you're like, whoa, he'd actually would disturb us. Yeah, that was obvious. Everyone else was normal. Just sometimes we wouldn't pay attention. And like part of that is learning how to do that without drugs. So I do fear for some kids who are just like take pills to solve your
Right.
attention span. It's like you got to work on that yourself as a kid.
Well,
What do you
they
think,
see
Wick?
this like
Mm.
yeah, what?
It's fine. So there is a conversation to be had around self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
I think that it can be useful to kind of figure out that you might have a problem, right? To kind of look at the symptoms that you think you have and say, okay, this might be something I need to go to a professional to confirm. But when we skip that step, when we skip the professional, right, you can get into some dangerous territory, especially when you start self-medicating. Self-diagnosis is one thing. Self-medication is something entirely different. I think self-diagnosis can be a little annoying, right? But I think otherwise pretty harmless. It's when you get into self-medicating that I think that there's a big problem. I think that people should not be taking sometimes fairly strong medication just because they've decided, right, that they're going to shop around to a doctor to try to get them to prescribe these things for them.
But Wick, like you're forgetting that like when you self-diagnose, like in today's day and age, teachers and parents take that into consideration and then get you the drugs because you're like, I must be, that's why, blah blah blah.
You can go on those like fake. They're actually, they say they're real doctors, but it's like these things on your phone where you talk to somebody through chat and they're like, "You have ADHD. Let me give you a script for Adderall." That might not be 100% correct, but like I don't like those online doctors that like you never met. They just go off of base of like one virtual call. Like you can't really get a whole bunch out of that.
There's a lot of problems with self-medication, right? But that's what it is. I don't know. Like, this is the thing. I think that as diagnoses get better, we are going to see a rise, right? As we get better at identifying people with neurodivergency, there is going to be a rise in neurodivergency. I think that's just natural, right? But I think that it can be difficult because I think that a lot of people have turned another person's illness into their currency.
Like quirky personality.
Like, they have decided to the uwuification of mental illness, right? The uwuification. Like, autism, in many cases, is pretty fucking debilitating. I'm talking about like the severe autism and things like that.
Yeah.
When all you see is advocacy from high functioning autism individuals, I think it further otherizes the autism individuals with much lower function, because people get this idea in their head like, oh, that's the face of autism, it's not that big of a deal, they're just fine. But a lot of low functioning autism people, this is a life debilitating illness. It's a problem, right? And we have to stop making it into these cutesy kind of TikTok videos, etc.
The one TikTok one that like sticks out to my mind is the one who was like pretending she had Tourette's.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say that. You see it now all over. There was the thing where people were pretending they had Tourette's because it was like a kind of like a quirky personality thing, and that's so dangerous because there's people who live with these, and they can be so
like imagine pretending to be in a wheelchair or pretending to be like,
I'm
a third. Like that's so rude.
It is horrible. It's like stolen. It's literally stolen valor, but for like debilitating illnesses, and it's disgusting. But have we seen this? We've seen this shit before with the whole people that were like with anorexia and stuff. There was this whole back in the day on Tumblr, a whole thing of pro Anna where people would post like pictures of themselves like anorexic, and they would be cheering each other on and growing this community of people just cheering it on.
That's sick.
And
that's so sick.
But this kind of thing has also been around for so long that it's like, as we learn about more and more illness and like people get it more, is this going to just continue to happen? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where, again, I can't decide who is and isn't pretending, quote unquote.
Exactly.
Right? And I can't decide that. That's not for me to judge, right? but at the same time, I can recognize that people who are, what, for lack of a better term, using this to get ahead. I don't know. It feels weird. It
Or
feels
as an
weird to me.
excuse. Like, I've seen people say, well, I forgot to do this, or I didn't do this, it's because I have ADHD. Well, you can't talk to me like that. I have ADHD. I'm
Yeah.
just, like, using an example. But
Wait, I
using
literally
this-
have a tenant who's like that. She kept trying to excuse her behavior when she hit my tenant, when she's screaming at me in the hallways, top of her lungs screaming. Everyone's opening their doors, and I'm just mopping. And I'm just going, and then she goes, sorry, it's my whatever. Like, she said whatever it was. And there's no excuse. I remember talking with her husband, because I was like, I'm gonna have to give an eviction notice for this one. And I was like, don't worry, we're like, everything's okay, it's the first notice. And then he's like, I'm like, I know she has all these mental problems. He's like, no, she's just a bitch, she just says that. And it's like, this is her husband saying that. And it's like, yeah, sometimes it's like, just because you have a thing doesn't give you carte blanche to go and be a bitch to everyone and use it. But I have this. Fuck you.
Well, it's one of those things people will use as a crutch for the rest of their life, that they have said thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Peanut, thank you for calling in.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. To the void! Yeah, this is one of those things where it's hard to kind of discuss it, because there are times where people absolutely are being sincere. They absolutely have these issues, and there should be nothing wrong with them expressing themselves. There should be nothing wrong with them sharing, right? And saying, hey, this is an issue I have. This is how it affects my life. I want to be seen, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, in the incentive structures we live in, you can get incentivized to pretend or to play it up for the camera and some cases.
The other thing is like the past year I've been looking at a lot of like mental health stuff and whatever. And there's been a lot of like narcissistic stuff I was going down the road of, and I was seeing things that they say a narcissistic person does this. I'm like, I do that, and I do that, and I do that, and then like I started asking all my friends, am I a narcissist? Like I really started thinking it, because I'm like, holy shit, is this a thing? I think that can be dangerous too. You know, I don't know.
We are going to bring on the next individual. Hello.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey. I just
How's it
got dumped
going?
out. Good. How you feeling?
Good.
What's the good word? That last, oh my goodness, wild man on the panel comes up and gives you some conspiratorial stuff way beyond me. That's some wildness.
Oh yeah.
What you got for us today, my friend?
Hey, how's it going? Two of my favorite people. I am just a cross-platform ambassador. I'm here to invite y'all over to another panel that you may not normally go to. And I heard also there might be some background conversations, sir, going on. Is there some inter-platform, maybe communications in the background that may not have happened otherwise happening? You don't have to tell us.
I don't like. I'm. You're being very vague. Can you be more specific? What are you inviting us to?
I understand that you got a personal conversation separately with WhickTV, and so I was just seeing if anything came of that, or and also I'm here to extend the welcome.
The guy who was being super racist to Carantos. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh,
I
didn't kick him.
The void knew.
Come back. I want to know what you're talking about. What are you inviting us to? Yes, I DM with people, but if you DM me, it stays in my DMs. I'm not going to talk about my private conversations. It's not going to. That was weird.
Yup.
Hopefully he comes back.
That was crazy.
But no, like if you DM me, I'm going to keep our DMs private, and if I ask, I might ask to share it, right? I might be like, hey, can I share this? And they can say yes or no. Oh, he's back. You there? You okay?
My apologies, guys. I got kicked for no apparent reason. It wasn't you. It happens sometimes.
Okay. But yeah, can you be more specific on what you're inviting us to?
Yeah, absolutely. No, the WhickTV panel is open to you, Wick, and of course, to you.
Thank you.
Because we welcome differing opinions and we welcome other viewpoints. But most importantly, because Wick, you reached out your hand across to another community altogether that's far out on the other edge from any of the things you cover here in general, and having a different conversation. WhickTV just want to make sure that you knew that you were welcome on his panel at any time, and that we would love to hear you.
Yeah, if it's something that I feel opinionated about, or that I think that I'd be educated on, so one of the things that I don't do is, if I'm not really educated on a topic, I tend not to speak on that topic, right? I might ask questions, like if I'm very curious about it, but in general, with a few exceptions, in general, I'll be very hands-off when it comes to engaging with things that I frankly am undereducated on. So if it's a topic that's something that I don't know much about, I probably won't join in. But if it's something that I have strongly opinions on, I'll absolutely jump on and talk about it, right?
Well, that's
Aaron,
awesome. Yeah.
is this the same Michael as on yesterday's Wick show?
Yes, the controversial Michael, and Michael does, he doesn't.
I'm really surprised that you're friends with him. He's horrifically racist and like puts people down. He was even in our Discord, and he was putting everyone down when he was just being mean. He was mean to Peanut, right to her face.
Oh yeah. And this is the thing.
How are you friends with him?
I'm friends with a lot of people.
Really quick before we go on, $10 from Killian. Thank you for the super chat, gang. You super chats, gift subs, all these things help me. Killian says, just start reading your private DMs live, Wick. That would be entertaining. I'm not gonna do that, but go on.
So what I was looking for there before is it was actually a conversation about. I just want to make sure the audience knew that Mike had talked to you and you guys, whatever you chat about, it's yours, of course, but that you definitely were invited and you're welcome in the community. And by the way, one of the things I want to mention to the audience that seemed to be so abhorrent to a lot of folks that I ended up talking to afterwards, and this is my takeaway, so it's my opinion, but having a conversation in itself, no matter which way it goes, is having that conversation. And sometimes when they aren't being had, the beginnings of them are inflammatory and tough and make you stretch because you have to hear other people. Now, I'm not going to excuse anybody's actions because I'm friends with all kinds of people.
Yeah, that's not a conversation when someone is using personal insults as a gotcha. That's a childish behavior that shouldn't be allowed in these adult debates.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
Durka, you understand? I'm not going to disagree with you about that, but I am also not going to judge somebody for their choices.
I'm absolutely going to judge someone for their choices. If you choose to rape someone, I'm going to judge you.
That's different than calling somebody a jerk or calling someone an M-bomb. Very different. And those associations, and also, that's called false.
He's choosing to be rude to people.
One choice that has been made by Darius Yancey for $2. He's super chatted out. Hashtag Durka is not a narcissist.
No, thank you.
No, she is definitely not.
I was really thinking it. Wick, didn't I DM you that a few months ago? I was like, am I a narcissist? Or
I'm not talking about our personal DMs. Okay.
It's hilarious.
No, you are not a narcissist. I've had many conversations with Durka, and she is definitely not. She's an interested party who's empathetic and kind, and I'm one of my underdog favorites of your channel. Which, speaking of which, can I ask you a question now? Because I've been trying to get you in an interview on your own separately, so that everybody can find out how often you are.
I'm just so busy. But go on, ask, yes, please. You can ask some questions.
So, no, I'm just going to ask you one question separately.
Please.
And I don't know if anybody knows this, but way back in the day when you first came online, what brought you on to make videos? Yes, you. Yeah, what brought you on? And beyond, clearly this wasn't the panel always, right? Like, what got you here and what made you want to do this?
My initial foray into streaming was not on my stream. I jumped on to an open panel hosted by Prime Kai. I forget the exact topic that they were discussing, but the reason I went on to the Prime Kai panel initially was because I remember seeing some of the YouTube videos and watching for a little bit about how people engage. And I want to be clear, I don't usually watch political content or video essays or any of that. I don't normally do it. I forget exactly what I was watching that led me down that rabbit hole. I was very bored one day. And I remember hearing people talking about a subject that I was pretty knowledgeable on. I had some strong opinions, and just how wrong everyone was, and just how confidently wrong. Everyone is. And I was like, is this all it takes to get on one of these shows? And I remember seeing it had thousands and thousands of views. I was like, really? People are watching this, right? And listening to this? Is this the best Twitch has to offer? This is literal child shit, right? And I thought I could do better. And so, I came on and I went on Prime panels, and here we are. So
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, by the way. And I just want to tell your audience and my audience that'll be seeing this later, that's how you knock on doors, kids. That's how you knock on doors. And by the way, I'm speaking to all adults in the crowd that don't be afraid if anybody goofy like me can go knock on a door and sit on a panel and end up. And by the way, you were talking about something earlier that I'm going to relate back to this. This is why I'm asking this question. Is I didn't know that about you, but now that I know that about you, sir, I'm going to challenge you like you challenged yourself to create something and to come onto a panel that you might not know anything about, to have a conversation, because there's an audience that wants to hear you ask the questions that you don't know. And most specifically, I'll tell this about, 𝕵𝖎𝖎, the cultural differences between us all, whatever it is. We have to be able to hear each other, even if it's despicable. And
yeah,
when we
I'm not going to listen to a person who is putting down people based on the way they look, based on their accents, and mocking them. Like,
and that
what
is your
a
absolutely right.
despicable
That's
human
absolutely right.
being. He should be
Yeah, absolutely
bullied
right.
the fuck out of until he starts acting like a fucking adult. Sorry.
Okay, and this is the thing is, but if you don't engage in that at all, if you don't engage them at all, then
You don't have to engage with a murderer. You know what I mean?
But
If he's
this
going
is
to
the
be a
thing is
dick on a panel,
false
he should be
equivalency,
fucking muted.
False equivalency,
Sorry.
𝕵𝖎𝖎. He's not a murderer. He's a person communicating with
I'm
some
just saying
language
that's
that's
the extreme.
inflammatory. And this is part of the, I know, but the extreme is not involved with these conversations. And this is one of the things that's problematic that I'm trying to point out.
Being a dick in
which is
real
why-
time.
Yeah,
so
and
he
being a
gets to
dick
be
is called
muted.
life. We deal with them on a daily basis. And let me tell you something, both sides have dicks. And it's wonderful when you see them together
thrown out
because
of the
then they're
bar.
standing out.
We
No, it doesn't
don't
lower the
accept
bar.
it when they're being
I would
an
disagree.
ass.
I
No,
disagree.
they literally get thrown out of the bar if you're being an ass.
Okay. Anything else for us, Aaron?
Anyways, I just wanted to share with you the invite and
Thank
to
you.
invite you up and just to let you know that it's not so much about what you don't know to add to the panel, because these aren't debates. These are conversations with community about subjects that they want to hear all sides, and even the ones that are opposing, because it challenges and stretches and takes the conversation somewhere it wasn't meant to go. And that's my theme, so that's generally my little plug for my own show. But I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
The void now.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, I can't stand it when people are like that.
It's okay to be heated. It's okay to be you're not here just to be window dressing, right? You're here to share your opinions too. Yeah. I don't know. I think that I will say that there is a value in hearing someone be an asshole and allowing them to be an asshole, because then you know they're an asshole.
Yeah.
How are you gonna know unless they show you?
And then we could all band together, even the sides that disagree with each other, and we could all agree on something for once, right? Yeah, fine. It's a good thing that Michael exists, so we can all hate him together.
I don't hate anyone in this. Well, no, that's not true. It's very, that's not true. But there are very few people that I would consider I hate in this space, right?
You hate.
But it takes a lot, and just being kind of a dick isn't enough to get my hate. That's all. Let's bring on the next contestant. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
𝕵𝖎𝖎, how's it going?
Long time no
Good.
see,
How are
brother.
you?
How you doing?
Good. I just wanted to pop in, say hi, and dude, Wick, I'm kind of depressed. Can you be my therapist for like 20 seconds?
I cannot solve your problems. I am not a therapist, but I can listen to you. So if you want to talk about it, I can listen.
Unacceptable. Never mind. I needed a solution out of it. But...
I mean,
I'm more than willing to give a stupid life lesson, sure, if I can. Go ahead.
I'm kind of just kidding, but my wife and I are gonna buy a house, which is super exciting, but it's got me feeling in a funk, because I think once you buy a house, that's the end of your life.
Commitment. It's a commitment.
It's
you are tied to that property now. You have made such a financial commitment, and you have put yourself in so much debt that now you're in it to win it, right? So there you should be concerned, is what I'm saying. It's right to worry. It's right to think about these. This isn't a purchase decision you should be making lightly. Make sure you like the community. Make sure you like the area that you're living in. Make sure that you are comfortable being in there for the next 30 years, right?
I think
Wait,
it's
you could
for
be
me.
in there
It's
for
more
10
like
years and sell it, right? Even though you
Maybe,
haven't paid it all off. Yeah.
maybe, like, but that's
yeah, if you
never
build up equity,
guaranteed.
it's like it's not even just the money. It's actually just more kind of like existential. Like, do you ever feel like if you can see the rest of your life ahead of you, like you just kind of know how the rest of your life is gonna go? It
I
kind
don't
of
think that's
makes you
a.
a little
Yeah,
crazy.
no, I get what I do get what you're saying. I think that I think there's a comfort in that. I find that comforting. I find knowing that I'm going to be on a path, knowing what is to come, there is some comfort in that. Like, obviously, you want the path to be good, right? A positive one. So I can understand, like, if you're looking forward and all you see is pain, right? That could be very troublesome. But it sounds like you and your significant other there, this is a positive thing, is it not?
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
change your frame of mind. Also, like if part of it is stemming from like missing out kind of thing, like, hey, is this the right house? Or should we wait and get a different house? Like, I don't know how you feel about your partner. Is that playing into it? Like, am I settling with her forever? Like, is that part of it?
No, yeah. I'm totally satisfied with all those things. It's
Okay.
I guess it's just more abstract for me. Well, let me ask you, Wick, do you feel like you're on that trajectory yourself with the streaming and what you're doing now, or
No,
are you
I
hoping for
honestly
bigger things?
think that I don't know what the future holds for me when it comes to my living situation, when my streaming situation. I don't know, right? Like, streaming is such a fly by night business, right? It's something that could literally disappear tomorrow for me, right? Um it's got its ups and it's got its downs. And one thing I have learned over the year, 2 years almost now of streaming, right, is that never take the highs too seriously and never take the lows too seriously, because you're gonna spike and then you're gonna have some drop off, and then you're gonna spike, then you're gonna have some plateau and drop off. And during the plateaus and the drop offs, it's easy to think, oh my god, it's dead, it's over, we're not going anywhere, right? Just as is when you're growing and when you're going up, it's easy to think, I got this, there's nothing that could stop me. Neither of these thoughts are true, right? Neither of these thoughts actually hold much water, right? Momentum is a thing, but it's not the only thing. And so it's very important in the streaming world, at least, to never let it kind of overwhelm you. You just got to keep an even keel, right? Keep a goal in mind, march towards that goal, adjust as necessary, but don't overcorrect. And that's
Also, like you purchasing a house, like imagine in 10 years if you never made a decision, didn't plant yourself anywhere, you guys would be older people without a house, you know what I mean? And it's like I don't know how old you are, but like you don't want to be too old and not have some property. Like you have to do it at some point, you know?
Yeah, assuming you
Yeah.
can afford it.
It's
I'm in California, so like
Mhm.
it's pretty hard here, but we found kind of a shitty kind of off the beaten path area where the property values were low enough where we can try to make it work. But
Okay.
Mhm.
but
You could do a
yeah,
pretty
well, I
garden.
No problem.
appreciate your guys' kind words.
I hope it helped a little. I know maybe it didn't answer your question about existential dread, but that's a hard thing to answer in 10 minutes, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
if
And
if
keep
you still
pushing
have some
forward. Yeah.
troubles, right? If you're still worried about it, my DMs are open, buddy, and we can talk. But for now,
Yeah.
Okay, that.
the void,
To the void.
right? He shouldn't worry, because the void is where everyone goes in the end.
True.
You are on this earth for a brief period, and then you are no longer on this earth. And no matter how you perform while on this earth, it doesn't matter. You're gone at the end. And
Lies.
that's
I'm
it.
gonna live forever.
Well, we'll
Lies.
find out, right?
Hmm.
But okay, let's bring in the next person. Was it Techno or Fairy?
Techno?
You think it's Techno? Okay.
I think it is.
Hello. You're live.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Hi. What's up? You're live.
Not much.
It's a call-in show.
Um,
So what do you got to get off your chest today?
something I I didn't realize how fast people, like the average person, is able to run.
Okay.
Like like they can run like 16 to 24 kilometers an hour or something like that.
What's that in miles? I don't speak Canadian, so.
I can look. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was mostly a joke, but yeah, people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not fast, right? I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not a very good runner. I can run a mile. After that, I kind of gas out, right? But I can do a good 7-minute mile, right? But after that, I'm done. Like, you won't see me running much after that.
Have you guys seen that TikTok of like a guy asking his girlfriend like how many or how long does it take if you drive, or let's just say run, but like if you run you know 24 miles an hour, like how long does it take you to run 24 miles? And then like they can't answer, they're doing all this math. Wick, I'll ask you a question. So how long will it take you to drive 80 kilometers if you're going 80 kilometers an hour?
An hour.
Yeah. Right. And then these people couldn't answer that question. They're like 30 minutes.
This sounds like the old like jokes we used to tell each other. These joke questions, these like puzzlers, right? Like, if an electric train is going northwest at 20 miles per hour, right? Which way is the smoke going? It's one of those trick questions, right? Or if a plane crashes on the border between America and Canada, where are the survivors buried?
Oh, I really loved.
It depends like the citizenship of the people on the plane, maybe.
No, survivors aren't buried. You don't bury a survivor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Riddles. That's what I was gonna say. I used to love riddles.
Riddles are great. I still love riddles.
You got one for me?
I got
show everyone
plenty. Okay, sure.
Here's
a good riddle.
One. Okay.
I'll start super easy for you both, and we'll have a contest, a little mock contest right now between the two of you. Men go over, men go under. In times of war, men burn asunder. What am I?
Men go over, men go under. In times of war, they burn asunder.
In times of war, men burn asunder. Yes.
Is it like some sort of weapon?
No. Okay, chat's got it. Both YouTube and Twitch chat.
I hate you. Yeah, no, I didn't get it.
The bridge.
Oh.
Here's another one. Here's another one. I am lighter than a feather, yet not even the strongest man can hold me for long. What am I?
The wind? Or no.
A breath.
A breath?
A breath.
Oh, holding in a breath.
Right.
You can't hold your breath for very long. Right.
I hate you, Wick. Okay, we're gonna do more off.
I guess
thingy,
this is embarrassing. We're not very good at riddles.
Yeah, we're not good at this. I used to do the really
ask me a riddle. Come on, I want to show off my riddle prowess. One of you ask me a riddle.
I don't remember them. There's this guy at Best Buy used to ask me these great riddles, but like it would take me a day to answer. They're good.
Well, I used to do this thing where the waiter or waitress, I would ask them a riddle, and if they got their riddle right, I'd add $1 to their tip.
Oh, that's horrible. They probably went back and they're like, "Oh, what is this, guys?" Yeah.
Well, it's only $1.
Did they usually get it?
Yeah.
Usually, yes, because I told them this at the beginning, right? And they'd have the whole time to answer, right? And I'm sure most of them Googled.
Would you give $1 even if they didn't get it but tried?
Well, I'd give them a tip either way. I usually tip about 15-20%, depends, right?
Yeah. I give I give 20% to everyone automatically. And I 5-star review automatically.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, that's my
what if
that's
they
my
suck
virtue.
and they fuck up your order and they're rude?
if they suck, then I just take it.
Techno, what do you got for us today? Anything? Okay. Techno?
No, nothing. It's yeah, I don't know.
It's nice to hear from you. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
To the void. Bye.
Can I do a potty break?
No, you have to. Of course you can do a potty break. I'm not gonna
Okay.
hold you here.
Thank you.
While she's gone, gang, now's the perfect time. If you have comments, right, that you want to leave. If you're on YouTube, first of all, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Twitch, hit that follow button. Feel free to send me money, okay? Whether it be gift subs, whether it be super chats, all these things. Kamikaze, what goes in dry and hard but comes out soft and wet? You know what? A sponge, perhaps, right? It wouldn't be a towel. It'd be a sponge. Yeah, I got it, Kamikaze. What else you got for me? Come on, I need a hard riddle, not none of these kitty shit riddles, right? Let's get a hard one. If you super chat me a riddle, okay? Here's the deal. If you super chat me the riddle, and I can't get it by the time the stream ends, okay? I'll think of something. I'll think of something to do for you. But it's got to be an actual riddle. It can't be just bullshit, right? Super chat me the riddle, and we'll see. What was your riddle, No Cow Mike? I didn't see it. Repeat it, and I will see if I can't answer your question. You got to super chat it,
one?
YouTube. You got to super.
Wait,
chat
I want to do my gross riddle. Okay.
You got a gross riddle? I don't know.
I
Is
do.
it toss appropriate?
I'm pretty sure I said it to you before. It's okay. This actually got me my job at Blockbuster because they said
Ranger and
tell
Rogue,
a joke.
a hole. So.
What?
I'm answering Ranger and Rogue's riddle. What can you put in a barrel to make it lighter? A hole.
True. Yeah, everyone knows that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had to sing a song, act out a scene from a movie, or tell a joke. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do a joke. But I couldn't think of a joke. They were all racist and like sexist. And I'm like, I think this one's okay. So I was like, what's green and smells like pork?
What's green and smells like pork? I don't know what.
Kermit the Frog's fingers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It got me my job. They all laughed too. I was like, all right, this is good.
Oh, there's a lot of riddles. Come on, gang, you got super chat. Pay me for the
chat.
You got super chat them. No more of these freebies. Okay, let's bring on the next contestant. Hello.
Oh my. Okay.
You're live.
Hello.
Hi.
Am I live?
You're alive.
You are.
Yes.
I've never met you. It's very nice to meet a fellow femoid online. Hi.
It's very nice to meet you too. Here, do I just click this button, turn on camera? I apologize. I know nothing about Discord. Okay, there we go. Okay, I am so sorry. Hello. I have to say, this box, it feels like I'm in the Millennium Falcon. I was telling somebody a minute ago, like, I know that there's one button that gets me to hyperspeed in here somewhere, but I can't for the life of me figure out which one it is. You know, it's like that scene with Han Solo and he's sitting there with the Wookiee and they have to figure it out, but boom, they go.
Okay,
right?
so I know we're pretty out of this world here, but I don't know if we're at hyperspeed just yet, but it's nice to see you. Hello.
Well, you have to forgive. I am an English lit nerd, so for me, this is basically hyperspeed.
Got you.
The reason I guess why I wanted to come on was for a couple of things. So I'm not sure if the way the call-ins work, if there's a main topic that we're supposed to address, or if it's there isn't.
Whatever,
okay.
Literally whatever you have to talk about, go for it. Show's yours.
Perfect.
Dealer's choice. Go ahead.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Well, I just thought that I had some insight or some perspective to bear on some of the questions that some of the previous callers had that I wanted to share with you and maybe get your insights. I'm not sure what your backgrounds are. My background is as a teacher, so I'm a graduate student. I teach English 101 and English 102. I won't tell you the university.
Oh,
fact,
so
I'm
it
only
is university level. Okay. That would
Yes,
be my
but
question. Okay.
I'm a graduate student, so I'm not a professor. I'm a graduate
Okay.
student, and I'm in my program, and I teach lower level English 101 and English 102. So the lower level English courses that you have to get out of. And one of the main assignments that you have to do for English 102, it's what we call our rhetoric and composition course. And that's basically what that means is that's the big research paper course where you have to write a research paper on something that you're interested in. And I've taught in that class for about, this is going to be my second year teaching that course for the spring semester. When I tell you that every single student that I have ever had in that course in this year and the previous year mentions the concept of mental health at least once in their paper.
Yeah.
And it's all of them. It's not just one or two. It's literally like 30 papers I will be going
It's
through.
on everyone's mind. I mean, like, I think it's what people predicted with the lockdown and the pandemic. It's existential crisis with everyone, you know? Yeah.
It's so crazy. But some of the things that the students will relate to their mental health, and listen, I think that it's real. Some people really do struggle with depression and with anxiety. Like, it is a real serious thing. And especially as an instructor, you have to be aware there are some students who really do have, I mean, it's freshman year. A lot of terrible things can happen your freshman year. You're away from home. So it is something that we have to be aware of.
A life-changing
as
event, yeah.
practitioners. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes I'll read papers like about how probiotics can positively impact your mental health. And I'm not saying physical exercise can't
Do you mark down for that? Just I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm very curious. When they make spurious claims like that in their papers, do you mark them down for that? Do you like, this is bullshit, see me after class kind of deal?
Well, I don't quite use the word bullshit, but
Hey, but why would changing your microbiome in your gut not affect your, I can't remember the chemical. What's the chemical that your intestines secrete?
Is
for
it
your
dopamine?
happiness?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it oxytocin?
It's
those,
one
right?
of those. But they're right. Like, why would you say that's bullshit?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's bullshit. It might very well be true, but as I stated before, I am an English literature nerd. I am not a psychologist. I am not a psychiatrist.
I recommend someone for you to watch.
Okay.
Andrew Huberman. He really goes in depth into this process. He's like a doctor of the eye, whatever. But he goes into everything else, like about health and happiness, right? So yeah, check that out. Really interesting stuff, and he's very attractive to look at. So
I guess I'd ask, right? So how much do you think this is a social contagion? And first of all, do the papers in general, when they mention mental health, I'm assuming the subject itself that they're talking about, it isn't mental health, it's just related to the paper. Correct?
So it's correct. So they will have a subject that they are interested in. It's a part of their lives. And the argument of the paper is the subject is good because it positively impacts my mental health. Or the subject is bad because it negatively impacts my mental health. So, and I say probiotic, and truly it may be very well possible that it does positively impact your mental health. I merely bring that up as an example of there are so many random things that appear random, at least to me, that get shoehorned in as being positive to your mental health. And some of those things appear to be products, things that are marketed as being positive impacts. So again, I truly don't know. Maybe it is possible that probiotics work.
Yeah, how long have you watched my content?
So I think probably maybe the beginning of this year. So probably earlier, so August, so a little while. Yes.
For a while.
I've watched some of the debates. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that my WhickTV as a show, does it positively impact the children's mental health? Do you think I'm a positive impact in society for their mental health? I'm very curious.
Yes.
Be honest. Don't lie to me. Come on. Don't do it. This is an honesty space. Okay.
Well, but this is sort of the question. Like, I think that we get into the weeds of what does it mean for something to pause? Like you've mentioned chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, but I think that there is a case to be made that just because something makes you happy or makes you feel good in the moment doesn't necessarily mean that it positively impacts your mental health, right? We have to look at long-term outcomes, like are you successful in school, right? Are you exercising regularly? Are you eating what you're supposed to? Do you have a social circle, right? So negative experiences can also be positive for your
Right.
mental
You're
health.
not
even
just
if-
depressed because
Yeah.
you have an issue, like a mental issue that
Good
you can't
dodge, by
fix.
the way. I
It's like
appreciate that.
your family member dies, your friends disown you, and you lost your job. No wonder you're depressed. That's not like drug worthy. Like you have to change your circumstances to get back up to happy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there other than the mental health thing, what else did you have for us today? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, so there was the mental health thing,
Mhm.
and I do agree with the social contagion thing, because the other thing I've noticed about those papers, I don't know why there's a gender split. The boys all want to write papers about sports, about football, and about concussions, and the girls all want to write papers about why social media negatively impacts their mental health. And I want to go on a very small rant and the soapbox, and then I will be done. Okay. So I do think that there is statistical evidence to prove that it is bad for teenage girls' mental health, because we've seen like the suicide attempts have gone up. I think there was a paper by 𝕻𝖎 that's gone to show that. I do think that there is evidence of that. However, while I think that is true, I notice sometimes that some of the arguments that they use and some of the things that they say in their papers feel like repeats. It doesn't feel like an original thought that they had themselves about social media and their mental health. It feels like they listen to a teacher or an authority figure complain about social media and how it negatively impacts their mental health. And then they think that it's what I believe as their instructor.
Yeah.
So they sit down and write me this paper and choose this topic, and then they turn it into me because they think that's most likely what's going to get them a good grade. And so sometimes I wonder if, because I think it's true, but I also wonder if maybe there's a danger in overstating the case as well. Like I think there was a really interesting conversation you had previously with another, what was her name or her Discord? Was it Peanut? Was that her name? She was talking, for instance, about like how people will imitate people with mental disorders. They will say that they have mental disorders or sincerely believe that they have mental disorders, even though if they were actually to sit down with a psychiatrist or a licensed psychologist, they wouldn't necessarily leave that therapist's room with that diagnosis or with that professional's opinion. So sometimes I wonder if sometimes like when people say that it negatively impacts their mental health, I think that we have to verify that other than like self-survey reports. I think we have to do like, that's why I mentioned like the suicide attempts with like 𝕻𝖎. So anyway, that's just a tangent. I apologize. I'm
No,
rambling.
it's great. What you basically said is that women are sheeple, and we just like.
I don't think that's what you said. I wanted to ask, since you're an educator, right? And I'm not asking what state or anything like that. I don't want you to dox yourself, but I'm just curious, right? I've been talking to, at least in Pennsylvania, to several people who are in the education field, and they've mentioned something that I wanted to see if this was a national kind of thing or if it was just specific to Pennsylvania. So in Pennsylvania, apparently, and allegedly, so I don't know if this is true, this is just what I've heard, that in order to become certified as a teacher, you have to not only have an education background in the topic, but have a certain amount of class hours from a Pennsylvania university. Is that common practice in the education field? So in order to get certified in Florida, do you normally have to be have credit hours from a Florida university, or is that a weird Pennsylvania thing?
So I don't want to dox myself by saying the state where I got my license certification, but here's what I can tell you. It varies state by state. There is something called state reciprocity, where sometimes if you have a license in one state, you can simply move to the other state and you just have to apply to get that license in that state, and you don't have to take any extra classes once you arrive. But that's not true for all states. So some states, for instance, like, so there's like a kind of test that's called the praxis test. That's a basic like requirement for educators, like before you can, so even if you get your degree in education, and even if you have the subject background down, if you don't pass the praxis test, you cannot be licensed as a teacher in the state in which I came from. So some states, in order to, so there's also something called praxis subject tests, like for if you're going into secondary education, which is what I was certified in. So if you're going to do that, I think that there's subject tests for English, for history. Some states will require you to take those extra tests, and some of them will not. It's very much it very much ranges and depends on which state you happen to be in. I do know that like the curriculum, depending on what kind of, well, not really depending, the curriculum does change depending on what state you happen to be teaching in for obvious reasons, right? So the type of literature that you're teaching, even the history books that you might be teaching if you're a history teacher, that varies depending on state. So there was an article in the New York Times that was published a few years ago. It talked about, it was so hilarious. It was the same textbook. It was published the same year with the same authors for the same subject, 2 different states. One was in California, one was in Texas. And it was a history textbook, and I don't know what grade it was for, but they literally showed pictures of the passages from the same chapters of these 2 textbooks, which should be identical, and they were not the same. The language within both of those textbooks, even though they theoretically should have been identical, was changed based off of what the communities wanted their students to learn.
I want to have you on in a closed format because I want to do a topic later, and you don't have to say now, I'm just talking out loud here, but I want to have a discussion on federalizing the education system a little better, because you're right with this all, as I'm hearing you, the requirements state by state vary a lot. It sounds like a lot. And also each local community's ability to change the curriculum and to influence curriculum. I wonder how useful that is, and I'd like to, because I could see pros and cons for it. So I'm this is very much a subject I'm interested in, but I'll get with you at another date to talk about
also
that.
Fairy Queen, I just want to say we really need more normal and professional women in the Discord. Just join every once in a while and talk with us, okay? Like just to hang out.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. Thank you. All right, send me to the void.
Okay, to the void. They know, they sense it coming, they feel it, right? They can, it's in their bones. But no, it's always nice when
the
a new
intelligent
viewer,
ones know. Yeah.
It's always nice when a new viewer or an old viewer that's a lurker calls in. That was nice. That was good. There is education's an odd thing. We are not doing well as a nation in education. Not at least when put up against other countries. Our outcomes are poor. This is a problem. I also want to talk about standardized testing. Standardized testing is an issue that a lot of different educators have a lot of different opinions on, and it's always interesting to hear arguments from different sides, right? But yeah,
because like cool. I could see like a bunch of like super red states and like even like small pocket communities that are just like so far out there red, and they'll be like, I don't want to hear about your liberal stuff in my schools, like, so federalizing everything, like, yeah, how are you going to make it fair for everyone? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem, right? Like, I think that like local communities should have some say, but how much say is the question, right? I don't know.
And what about like the Catholic school board?
And
that doesn't not be a thing.
Wouldn't it suck, right, to grow up in a community that their education system leaves you so far behind everyone else in other communities where they were more open in their education, right, and where they taught you better. Like, there's just so much at play here to discuss.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
I'm thinking about like was it Chicago in like the inner city areas, and how like they didn't even have like enough school books, and it was mostly like for the Black communities. The teachers were like sleeping in class the whole like hour and a half, and the kids were just sitting there like. But those teachers have tenure, so you can't fire them.
One of my teachers when I was in, I think it was 4th grade, maybe 3rd grade. I don't know. I was young. One of my teachers would drink, and I didn't know what he was doing at the time. Like, but looking back, he's obviously drunk. My science teacher, always drunk all the time.
Nice.
I didn't get much out of that class, but sure was entertaining. Let's say that. And yeah, it was always like, oh, I love Mr.
Like a mad
So-and-so. He's great
teacher.
because he was just constantly drunk. But yeah, I mean, like, I think that's a little separate question. When it comes to standards for teachers versus standards for teaching, I think these are not the same. But yeah, let's bring on the next contestant here. Hello.
Hello, hi. They're talking about some real interesting stuff there.
Our resident
Hello.
bathroom streamer. Hello.
How are you?
Wow.
It's wonderful to meet you.
Hello.
So, main thing I wanted to get off my chest is first off some of this hair, but second off, I just wanted to say so this is where I think of what I'm gonna say. All right, like the whole ancient aliens thing is based on hate. I wonder how many other things that are supernatural are based on hate.
The whole ancient alien. No, stop for a moment. The whole ancient alien thing is based on hate. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, it's legitimately like that's not even a question. It's actually like codified. Like the books that originally like introduced the idea of like ancient Egyptians being helped by aliens was extremely racist rhetoric. Like the whole thing was basically just they're Egyptians, they're different than us.
But is the concept of ancient aliens itself based on hate?
Just that. But yeah, I mean, like the majority of that stuff is usually based off of that. Like,
really,
there's some other stuff that's based off of
I
other
think it's just based off of ignorance, because we still don't know how they did the pyramids like that and have these massive things going over mountains and like the giant obelisk carved out of like stone on stone. You're like, really? Like it's just based out of ignorance. So we go, aliens did it.
Yeah.
No, but you understand what I'm saying? I don't think it's racist. I just don't think that we believe people could have done that back then, because we know that they were in the copper tool age, which would not cut diorite. So we know that doesn't work. So we're looking for an excuse, and the best excuse we have is aliens. Right? That's not racist.
I wish I had the actual names in front of me, but it could take a minute of googling around. But like, I just want the whole thing is just that ultimately the original thing that popularized the idea is ultimately from a person who's got extremely racist ideas. Even if it's not directly that, it invalidates it.
So just because the person was racist, you got to say all ideas he had were based on racism.
No. Like when they are specifically based on racism.
Okay, Durka, let me ask you. Durka, let me ask you directly, okay?
Okay.
If in this book, and I haven't read these books, I don't know about these books, right? So maybe this isn't true, okay? But in these books, if the author was positing that ancient aliens must have built this thing because those people could never have done that, do you not think that's a little racist?
I think even now we think that people in that age, just people, like, we're incapable of building
but I'm saying in the book, if they specified those people, if they said, well, I could see how the Europeans would have done it, but the Egyptians, those people, I could never see. And Portland, thank you for the gift subs. Yeah. Portland, why is your coward butt not coming on to talk to us? Anyway, sorry, but yeah,
I was just trying to have that just be presuppositional here. Like I thought that was gonna not even be a question.
Well, okay, even if you came to a conclusion that was correct and yours was based out of racism, but we find out it's correct anyways, for not a racist reason, it still means it's true, right? Ancient aliens was real. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know how to respond to that.
Ace, do you believe in aliens?
I mean, yeah. I mean, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that we have tangible evidence of that necessarily.
So why do you believe in them?
Because ultimately, the universe is functionally so large that the chances of there not being another intelligent life form at a similar level to us is next to nothing. Realistically, we may never be able to interact with another intelligent life form, but they most certainly have to exist. Just numbers wise,
just
they have
numbers
to, right?
Game. Basically, you're playing the odds.
And there is also the Fermi paradox that posits three different hypotheses on why we couldn't actually why that couldn't be the case.
Yeah, the Dark Forest theory. There's a few others, right?
Yeah, it's just we could have already screwed ourselves by just putting out radio
to them, and then they're like, "Oh, don't even bother. We've seen a million of those before." Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
that's why they're not bugging us.
But you said that was a presupposition. Did you have any?
Oh yeah, the whole thing I was trying to get to is I wonder how many other supernatural beliefs are based off of originally hate-filled beliefs, right? Not necessarily because like I understand that a large number of supernatural beliefs are just trying to explain nature, right? Like that's where a lot of that comes from, right? It's just simply just we don't know how this works. This is what seems like works. We'll go with that, like lore-wise, for our society. Another society might decide something else, right? It's just like that's what we think is making this. Like the rivers, those flow because of the river god. Like that river god, he really knows what he's doing. He's flowing those rivers real good, you know. And it just like
maybe. Hello.
He froze.
Hello. Come back.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello?
sorry, you froze a moment. The streaming gods did not favor
I think the
you,
void
sir.
might be taking me early here. On what's
No,
happening.
the streaming gods did not favor
my
you.
connection's being
You
pretty.
have displeased the streamer
Yes,
gods.
you have angered the streamer.
Okay, am I good now?
Yes, you're good now.
Okay, we're
You've
good. Yeah.
made the appeasement.
Wait,
Okay.
wait to make sure that they don't come and smite you. You should donate to Wick.
I mean, if I had any amount of money, I would do so. You
Look,
do
the man
realize
doesn't
I am
have
in the
enough money to
bathroom.
put a shirt on. Okay, so I mean,
It's like I'm in the
okay.
bathroom. Like if you want something fancy, I'll put on a hat. Like dang.
Now he's a bathroom wizard. Okay.
Yeah, it's like I can pull out magic anytime you need. All right. But geez Louise. Yeah, I just like think that like a lot of like supernatural beliefs may have like a lot of like I want to look into the origins of it, and it's just something I wanted to get off my chest because I think I might even just do like a big deep dive into it and just figure out like the actual like origins of various of not even religious beliefs, but like just supernatural and like spiritual beliefs, right?
And
Just
find out
like
which
a
ones are
large number
racist,
of those
yeah?
seemingly come from
you think-
other basis.
Do you
of
think,
weird
and I'll
things.
ask you this before I send you away, I'm curious your answer. Do you think that religious belief in and of itself can be separated from humanity? Do you think humanity can ever be a truly secular species?
And what I don't understand the question.
Sure.
Could you?
Sure. Do you if you could push a button, if there was a button in front of you, you pushed it, religion ceased to be, right? There was no intrinsic belief in like no Christianity, no Islam, none of that. Do you think that we would be free of religion, or do you think we would simply invent new ones to put
Does that
in their place?
include things like things that we don't necessarily classify as religion, but are in themselves somewhat spiritual? Like questioning the unknown in and of itself is a spiritual thing, but it is not necessarily
I wouldn't
right?
say that is necessarily religious, just questioning the unknown. So
yeah,
I
in that
wouldn't
case,
say
then yeah,
that.
I would say certainly, like by that definition, we can certainly say that we would be fine living without religion. Like, there's nothing that's holding us
You don't think we
together
would
as,
just
like,
invent new religions to replace them?
I mean, I don't like if we just somehow pressed a button and erased everything.
Erase
at
all
some-
religion currently.
Erased all religion currently. Then most assuredly we would. Just I don't think we would in like first world countries. Like, I think where we have everything sorted out for us and science is already like the forefront. I don't think there would be people that there may be small groups of people that feel the need to make those things. But I think that ultimately we just wouldn't have people that have the urge to even want to looking for defining supernatural things happening because they already know why those things are happening. They're like, oh, the rivers flow because of the rain cycle, you know? It's like we don't need to sit there and question if that's a river god. We can look up, hey, why do rivers flow?
Bosset says we would for sure invent weirdo spiritual shit like making shit up about technology, praise the algorithm. I mean, fair.
Like, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be a religion though, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, but I'd be fine with it.
Okay. Praise the algorithm.
Yeah.
Praise the algorithm.
Praise the void. Praise the void. Praise the void by sending you your money. Let's bring the next contestant on. Bathroom wizard, most powerful wizard. That's where the spells.
That was shocking.
I
feel
he comes on all the
visually
time.
assaulted.
How often do you watch my show?
Honestly, okay, I love you, Wick. So I put it on, but then I mute the whole site, so you get the
Wow.
view. Yeah.
Okay, next contestant.
Yep.
There you are. You're live. What's up, Portland?
Hey, how are you? How are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
I'm better now that you're here, my friend.
Lovely to see you as always, Dirk. I don't think we've ever met. You can just call me Portland or whatever you want. It's more of a channel name than a moniker.
Big Papa
but I'm
P.
comfortable with whatever. What's that, Wick?
Call him Big Papa P.
No, thank you.
That's fine too. Also, I'm dabbling in Mr. Pibb. I don't know if anyone has trademarked that name for any unrelated reasons, but it seems appropriate for the acronym. Either way, I look forward to finding out, and hopefully no cease and desists are in my immediate future for adopting that name. I'm
don't
pretty
go
sure
don't
that
go
it's
the
fine.
route of our poor friend 𝕾𝖎𝖙, who got crushed
R.I.P.
by
right?
copyright law.
True.
Wait,
True.
did he
An
really?
avoidable error if there ever was one.
Yeah, his whole shtick was based on a cartoon show.
Oh, right. And then it's a real one, so he was actually copyrighted, right?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Very unabashedly abusing the copyright with zero parody involved. I appreciated the boldness, but alas, I think the presence is missed on this, little space. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys, circling back to the topic of the t-shirt and free speech, and why I feel like there's a time and a place for everything, and public school is probably not the place to go out of your way to provoke other students into confrontation rather than conversation. And
okay, so I would like to ask you the same question. Would you be okay
sure.
if a student had a pride flag t-shirt or a trans flag t-shirt on?
I think there's a big difference between an affirmative statement and a negative statement. And I think that we have a pretty, an adult ability to understand where something is meant to be a confrontational or a provocative statement versus one that is meant to affirm or establish a community. And I think,
but don't you understand that a Muslim child going to public school would think that that's offensive?
Let me finish answering your question, okay? I didn't hear anything you said. I'm simply making the case that the public school system is not the venue to stoke provocative conversation about political discourse, particularly in the grade school levels. So I think that there's an appropriate time and place. And if you want to argue that public universities are an appropriate time and place, by all means, people have a decision whether or not to be there. But the government compels children to take part in the public school system. They have no alternative. So the idea that they should be subjected to political speech is religious speech seems antithetical to
Durka. This is just an argument against Black Lives Matter. This is just an argument against pride flags.
Again,
this is just
a
an argument
difference
against trans
between
flags.
affirmative and negative statements. I think that statements obviously intended to incite confrontation versus ones meant to
I don't think his shirt was an obvious
community
intent
building
to
are
incite
definitively different within the context of public schools and objectively as adults too. We should be able to tell these two things apart and acknowledge where there's a fuzzy gray area, but this shit ain't it. We're not anywhere near
do you think stop Durka.
Yeah, I love your
he's
spitting truth, by the way, bullshit.
Okay.
First
of all,
there's literally two genders, sorry.
There's literally two sexes. There are obviously more than two genders, otherwise we wouldn't have multiple fucking words for the same thing. Go off about your simplistic shit somewhere else. I don't really care about that.
That is going too far.
You
cannot be an object.
For my audience. So the incident in question, a 12-year-old boy came into school wearing a shirt. The shirt said that there are only two genders. It said there are only two genders. That was a shirt. They sent him home. I don't know if he got suspended. I don't know if there's anything specific about it, right? But I know that they sent him home for the shirt.
For wearing a shirt, a Pokemon shirt in rural Arkansas. I've been sent home from school for a shirt that was considered provocative before.
Yeah, that's
literally
bullshit too.
In rural Arkansas in 2000. So I'm a little unsympathetic to the plight of this kid
to
who
you,
had to
so it's okay, right?
What were you wearing, by the way?
With minorities,
what were you wearing, by the way?
But this idea, just real quick, this idea that this was obviously provocative in nature is just, it's not, there's nothing obvious about it.
Objectively true. That's all he wore. Wait.
Hold on. I want to establish like a level of objectivity here. Are you telling me that in 2023, the statement "there are only two genders" with zero additional context plastered onto a fucking t-shirt is not a provocative image?
It's
really?
not to meet the definition. Just like if I wore a shirt, that said "Make America Great Again," is that provocative to you?
I mean, it's affirmative.
Oh my God, this is the dumbest dumb I've ever dumb. Like saying that a political statement is always provocative.
Can you
name a political statement you don't think is provocative?
I think that people should be allowed to wear "Make America Great Again" shirts at school, Wick. I think that there's nothing wrong.
But you said it was provocative.
There's a difference between, I told you already, there's a difference between an affirmative statement and a negative statement. A negative statement would be an exclusionary statement, like, you are not a valid person if you identify with X.
What is
inclusionary
so negative about telling the truth?
Don't fucking interrupt. If you just want me to, like, hear you out, like, at least tell me when you're going to talk so I don't not hear you because I'm talking.
Sorry, you're talking a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm calling in. You've been talking all fucking night. I'm talking for 10 minutes. Do you not know how call-in shows work? Okay, so the point is, like, there are two different points. Like, political speech is an umbrella term, can encompass almost anything, especially in a modern context. I could, for instance, say I don't acknowledge the right for women to teach me in a public school space because only men should have that role. And I should be able to shout over any teacher who says otherwise because that's protected political speech within this, like, very vague, broad umbrella. It's not really serviceable or functional to use such a broad umbrella term. So obviously, for classrooms to function, we need to curtail free speech at least a tiny little bit.
Sure, I don't disagree.
In my mind, includes the invocation of statements that are intentionally confrontational and provocative.
I would like to say something now. I would like to say something now.
One at a time.
First of all, Ice Beans, thank you for the raid.
Fucking Christ.
Ice Beans, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it.
Shout out to Ice Beams. Super cool.
Ice Beans. Get the N right.
You don't even know the fucking...
But no, this idea that simply wearing a shirt that says there are only two genders, or wearing a shirt that says Black Lives Matter, or wearing a shirt that says Make America Great Again, are all like
of wearing a shirt that says
provocative to the point that we should ban them.
Not a Black Lives Matter shirt. It's the difference between an affirmative and a negative statement. I need you to acknowledge the difference between an affirmative and a negative statement. This would be the equivalent of wearing a Black Lives Don't Matter shirt.
Okay, let's put a negative statement on here. War is
Black
bad.
Lives don't matter.
I don't support the Ukraine war. If a kid wore If a kid wore a shirt, both of you stop. If a kid wore a shirt saying, "I don't support the Ukraine war," that's a negative statement.
Yeah.
Should they be allowed to wear that?
There's a different, like, I don't care to dabble in the gray area. We're not anywhere near the gray area.
It's not a gray area.
That's the point. The statement "there are only two genders" is not, like, absent any other context. Zerka, I know you're like obviously gender realist. That's cool. Obviously,
because the other shit is mental illness. If you think you're a cat,
this isn't stop, Zerka. This isn't. We're not having that debate today. We're not having that debate.
You're not a useful component to this conversation. You're transphobe, and I have no interest in that. So get fucked, you myopic piece of shit. Like, this is not a useful piece of the converstion to me.
Not useful.
I want to talk about meeting people where they're at, not telling them that they don't exist or aren't valid. So, like, I know chain smoke through the entire conversation.
I never said they're not valid. I'm saying they need help. I'm not a piece of shit. I'm saying they need help.
You're a gigantic piece of shit.
If they don't think that they're one of the two genders that exist,
I want to set aside. Dirk, stop. Both of you, please. Oh my God. Both of you, please. For the love of God, stop. Stop. We can set this debate aside. I want to debate, even whether it's true or not. Whether it's true or not is aside the point. It could be the most untrue statement ever made. It could be the most true statement ever made. The question is, do children have the right to wear their political or even religious beliefs on a t-shirt. And I would say they absolutely do. Even if it makes... Let me finish before you interrupt, please. Even if it makes other people uncomfortable, they absolutely have the right to wear that shirt. And under the only exceptions, right? Pornographic, right? And things that are like... considered lewd, vulgar.
Can we talk about what you mean by rights versus should? Because as far as rights go, they absolutely do not have those rights, because the municipal and Supreme Courts and the circuit courts, they've all deemed that there are limits to the amount of expression children can display on their shirts, not limited to lewd images. They can't use profanity on their shirts, and they can't cause significant disruption to the classroom with materials on their shirts.
If you read the case, the limit isn't, it makes me feel uncomfortable. That is not sufficient. And courts have ruled on this. This is actual Supreme Court cases where they said teachers feeling uncomfortable or other students feeling uncomfortable or unsafe are not enough to justify that. So if this person sued, if this person went and took this to court, right, they were the ones that were going to be upheld, right?
I really got to say something here. Wait. You said should we, or like, is it law? We should allow these kind of things that make people feel uncomfortable, because you need to learn from childhood up. Not only in university do you need to learn this, you need to already know it in university, that you still accept others as humans, as individuals.
Each other.
Sure, stop interrupting. Even though we disagree with them, they're still valid. You have to learn how to deal with people who are different than you.
I agree with that.
You should let students wear provocative things, because the other kids need to learn this.
Do you think that there are reasonable limits to the logic that you're espousing right now? That we no. Hold on. I tried really hard, and I realized that I agreed with you audibly a couple of times by interrupting you by extension. Okay, if she isn't,
she's listening. She can hear you.
I'm just getting her water. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that there are logical and reasonable limitations that we place around students' ability to express themselves to ensure that there's an equitable and comfortable environment for all students? Like, do we not allow children to call each other slurs in the classroom? Because even though that's a free speech issue, it would reasonably disrupt the functionality of the learning environment. Do you think that that's a reasonable assessment?
Right. So for instance, it can make you very uncomfortable as a student when someone looks beautiful and they're wearing a mini skirt on a Civvies Day and they look so great and they're making you feel uncomfortable. You're gonna have to learn how to deal with that.
No, we have dress codes that limit that. That's literally why schools have dress codes, because certain levels of revealing and
it might make an ugly fat girl feel bad about herself, but that you have to learn to deal with that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Because from my end, dress codes exist exactly in contrast to the point that you just made. We have dress codes that limit the amount of exposure that kids can engage in public school environments.
Nudity or too lewd, like Wick said.
Yeah, but that's not the only limit that's defined by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also accepts limitations on the level of profane language and the level of disruptiveness, which again is a very subjective term, that the classroom is engaged in by the language on this shirt. Again, I would refer you to a situation again, very anecdotal, and my parents didn't try to sue the school district because it wasn't exactly
what did you wear? Go ahead.
I wore a Pokemon shirt that had the I was 10 years old. I lived in rural Arkansas at the time. I wore a Pokemon shirt that had the list of little Pokemon card attacks for the character under the bottom, and one of them was Poison Sting. My teachers told me that I needed to take the shirt off turn it inside out, call my mom, and tell her to pick me up.
Do you
And
see
I
how
wouldn't be allowed
ridiculous
back into
that
the
is?
school and
That's
like with that
ridiculous.
shirt again because it was disruptive to the classroom.
Did you
because
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
get trauma? Does this
it was the
traumatize
promotion
you,
of
sir?
violence. My point
This promotion
is
of
that
violence?
this was
What?
good. Yeah, fucking
Ridiculous.
absolutely.
That's
This was
dumb.
not something that I'm saying should
But
be
do
the
you see how
standard.
they're
I'm
too
saying
sensitive?
it is the standard in terms of the subjectivity that's entailed by like what disrupts a classroom. And
I'm
this is a
saying that's
standard
wrong.
that
That's wrong
Oh,
that they were
yeah.
that sensitive to your stupid ass shirt. Yeah.
yeah, that was even in this context, we can probably agree that that's a lot less provocative than a shirt
Of
that
course
says
it's a
there
lot
are
less
only two
provocative.
genders,
But,
right?
but that isn't the point. Even in the
No,
science
no.
books,
I'm
that
not
these students
using
are going to be
I'm not using
reading,
the anecdote
it's going
to
to be
like
lining out,
no,
hey, there's
you
two
don't
genders
understand the
and blah,
point of
blah,
the
blah.
anecdote.
No,
If
so
you
like, it's,
think that I'm trying to argue for the principle, then you're misunderstanding the anecdote. The anecdote is to make you, like, to help you understand the subjectivity of the word disruptive and the wide latitude that gives to school staff and educators intentionally, just like almost any other law that invokes some level of subjectivity, like malice
Sure,
or
but schools
fucking
don't decide that,
premeditation or
buddy.
any other. There
Schools
are
don't
levels
decide
of
this.
subjectivity.
You know who
that are
decides
engaged with.
what is this? The schools don't have don't make these decisions. The courts make these decisions.
The schools
okay?
absolutely make the decisions, and then if the school needs to escalate to the legal system, then they
The
would
schools
make the
wouldn't
final
escalate to the legal
decision in
system.
super
The
edge
student
cases.
would,
But that
in order
obviously
to
doesn't
get
always
their
happen.
rights upheld, whether or not this person thinks it's worth
wait,
their time.
he's
Stop,
right about this.
Zerka, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You
No,
gotta let me
Zerka's
engage with this.
no, she's got to stop now that she agrees with me. Cut
No.
shit. Let her talk.
No, I'm going to stop you both if I have
I
to.
interrupted. Go
Okay.
ahead.
She's right
So
that I'm
the-
right. Okay.
About
If
this.
a student feels that the school has violated their rights, then it is on the students to take it to court, right?
No,
Or
it's on the
student's
parents to take it to court,
Sure,
not the
sure.
Don't
students.
be
Students
don't be
can't
fucking
take items to
pedantic.
court, Wick.
Don't be a
You know
pedant.
this. Students
Don't
don't
be a
have that
pedant.
level of
Wait,
legal
wait.
agency.
Schools make these arbitrary decisions about their dress codes themselves. They don't go to the court to get it all written out. And this was like part of the thing we were talking about before. Like, should we make it a blanket in United States? Everyone follow the same
No.
thing. Every state does their own thing. Their own schools do their own thing. And then if someone thinks it's wrong, they
Unless
take it to the
the
court? But
schools
people make their own
cannot
rules.
decide
There's a
to
level
violate
of
someone's
federal
First Amendment
governance
rights.
that comes in here. There's a
States
level
cannot
of federal
decide to
governance.
violate someone's First Amendment rights. They can't.
The First Amendment is a matter of federal governance, and as a matter of Supreme Court decision, schools can't flatly ban political statements as a part of students' clothing. That is a Supreme Court decision that upheld students' right to free expression.
Because
But
people were
it-
wearing
and
black
subsequent-
armbands
no, it-
to
hold on,
protest
hold on.
the
Hold
Vietnam
on, Wick,
War.
hold on. I
Mhm.
can't even hear you because I wasn't done with my sentence, so I don't know any of the words you just said. The point is that the Supreme Court and subsequent decisions outline several conditions wherein the school may curtail
aware of
the
them.
student's right to free speech
Yep.
under certain criteria.
What are those
And those are
criteria?
federal
There's
criteria
three.
that
There's
extend
three
to all
criteria. What
states.
are they? There's three criteria. What are they?
There's no allowable profanity, like they can take an action against anything with visible profanity on it, and anything that that promotes violence or that directly constitutes a disruption, like a significant disruption to the class, which is where we get into the super subjective territory. Number 3, the thing where we get into impossibly subjective territory intentionally. The point is that teachers are the only ones on
first
the
of all, you're
ground
wrong.
level that are going to be able to tell you
First
whether
of all,
or not
you're wrong.
something
I'm looking at the law right
disrupts
here.
the function of the class.
Okay, what's the law?
Stop. There's here. This is factual things. There are three things, three conditions. If they are vulgar or lewd. Okay, this was decided in 1986 under the Bethel School
was the
District
first
versus
thing
Fraser.
that I pointed out.
Yeah.
Promote
Profane. Go
illegal
ahead.
drug use. So no weed shirts, buddy. Under Morrison
Yeah,
Frederick
yeah.
in
Yeah,
2007.
that's true.
And the third, which is what you're referring to, is are likely to cause serious disruption at school or violate other students' rights.
Yeah,
so the
the
question at
insanely
hand,
subjective number
let
3
me
criteria.
fucking finish. The question at hand is whether wearing a shirt that says there are only two genders, whether or not that constitutes in a legal capacity that it's going to cause serious disruption or violate other students' rights. And we have a fundamental disagreement. Our fundamental disagreement here is I don't think this is going to cause serious disruption in a legal sense. I just don't think it would.
It's reality. And if people are afraid of reality now, like, fucking God help us.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear the last part.
I said God help us. I don't believe in God, though.
Yeah, but if you don't believe in God, but you're a biological essentialist, there's an irony there that I won't bother to point out to you because it's kind of beyond this conversation,
Why are you prescribing this to me?
No. I'm pointing out that, like, having a rigid definition of gender and sex that are, like, specifically intertwined and not having any sort of theology behind it is kind of a weird perspective, because that's the only thing that grounds the two terms in, like, one irrefutable, undefinable package, like, specifically definable package. Otherwise, gender is irrefutably a social construct that we grapple with as a presentational thing.
And there's a spectrum of genders, right? But there's only two, and you could be one
no,
way
there's
or
two
the other
sexes.
more.
There are obviously more than two genders because gender exists as a
I
social
don't care about
binary.
I don't care about whether or not there's two more genders or two genders.
Name me another gender, please.
What?
Name me another gender.
Non-binary.
So, okay.
Oh, I know. That's like a simple fucking, like, oh my God, I couldn't possibly grapple with the concept of there being a third category
whether or
outside
not
of
this
my
is
conventional
true,
understanding.
whether or not the statement is true or false,
shit, instead of making an argument.
Okay, whether or not the
Zerka,
statement is
I'm
true.
sorry that everything needs to be spoon-fed to you. You need to grow up, okay? This is beyond just being like really overly linguistically simple.
Fun.
I agree. It was fun.
I want you to tell me, Portland, I want you to explain to me, like I'm 5, and Durka, please don't interrupt him, right? Please let him go, because I don't care whether or not what this kid said was, what was on this kid's shirt was accurate or not. I don't care. My question is, why? What proof or evidence do you have that the statement on a shirt saying there are only two genders constitutes serious disruption?
The point of subjectivity is that I don't need to show you
you absolutely do if you want to violate someone's rights.
No. That's the whole point of subjectivity, is that you defer to the people with whom the class is taking place, the people that are in charge of determining whether or not the class has been disrupted. And if there are like 10 trans kids in a classroom with one straight white Christian kid who comes in with this gender is like there are only two genders, like obviously they're going to feel like they are being demeaned or like attacked in some verbal or like non-aggressive way, and there's no reason to like try to muddy the waters to such a degree that you would argue that you can be rational about whether something falls on the line.
I think you are being oblivious. I'm going to be real with you. I think you're being oblivious. This argument that you're making that we have to defer to the people on the ground and the students and the teachers that are on the ground there. If a teacher and the students, if you have
oblivious
a class,
to how subjectivity works versus objectivity, I think you're employing the two words incorrectly.
But using subjectivity in this means that someone, if a teacher and a majority of the classroom thinks someone wearing a pride flag t-shirt is disruptive, that they get to decide to ban pride flag t-shirts. And under this kind of argumentation, they absolutely would be able to. And that's why it's under shit argumentation.
They would have, under the same argument, they would have to escalate it to a court. And I don't think a court would agree with your interpretation in this case.
You would be wrong.
Flag
you would be wrong.
T-shirt are the same thing. I do not think that a court would determine that within a grade school classroom context, these are equivalent statements. And if you think they are, I think you're out of touch with reality. I think you're out of touch with how small children function in a classroom environment. And I think that you're bestowing, oddly enough, like a weird amount of political agency on 12-year-olds to suggest that they really understand or can grapple with these concepts.
How dare I let 12-year-olds express their political opinions, right? Children are to be seen, not heard.
don't matter more than their capacity for education in the basic concepts that they go to grade school for? Do you think that kids go to grade school to learn whether or not there are two genders in a
Kids
fucking
go to
Matt
grade
Walsh
school
sense?
to
Or do
learn
they go
how
to
to
grade school to learn what
Stop,
algebra
Durka.
is?
Stop,
Jesus
Durka.
Christ!
Okay,
Don't.
so
I'm not
what
gonna
do you
stop
think?
finishing
What do
my
you think the
sentence.
purpose of school
Void
is?
me.
It's to
You have
teach
the
people how to
power.
be a citizen, how to be a
You're
citizen
wrong.
in the fucking United States. It absolutely is to teach people how to be a
No,
citizen.
no, the
That is
Supreme Court
absolutely one of
disagrees
the
with you.
purposes of public education.
The
is
United States
to
Supreme
bring
Court
societal
disagrees with you.
norms upon the growing class, the children, right? It is to take society's norms and mores and to instill them and to teach children how to be citizens in the country that they are raised. And one of the things about being a citizen in the country you're raised, and America specifically, is that you have the right to express your political opinion. And I think that's a very good thing to teach a child. That's a very good learning experience to have, is to be able to teach a child that if you have a political opinion, no one is allowed to tell you you can't wear a shirt to support that. I think that's an excellent
I don't
lesson to
think
learn.
that that's evidentiarily true, and I don't think that it's practically true. I think that the Supreme Court obviously limits your ability to express those ideas on your fucking t-shirts, and I think that just pragmatically, it makes a lot of sense to limit the amount of undue confrontation that small children have with each other in a public school space that's meant to be like educational and inviting and not provocative.
Again, that's why you
of
shouldn't allow
gender
pride
and
flags or
religious
trans
idealist
flags or anything on
conversations.
these shirts in
Can't
rural
listen
areas,
while I'm
right?
talking. I can't listen while I'm talking.
I
okay?
understand, and this is a problem you're having. You can't listen because all you want to do is talk, and you don't want to engage in the conversation because you're trying to preach rather than to
you're
argue
preachy.
and to have an understanding.
Yep. I just want to say one thing. So, like, this whole thing, like, silencing the kid who's wearing the shirt, like, I literally feel like if I go down that non-binary path, I'm gonna get Wick in trouble. I'm gonna get me in trouble.
It's cringe. Okay?
Possibly like canceled. You know what I mean? And I think
Good.
that is see what I mean? I think that's the point, that people should have free speech of their ideas and not be fearful of talking like I just was. Like, I'm like,
Freedom of speech
I
isn't
have to
freedom
think
of
to myself
consequence.
as an adult.
What should be the
like-
consequence for a
like-
kid wearing? What should happen to him?
Yeah.
I'm curious. What should happen to this kid?
He shouldn't be allowed to wear that shirt at school.
Well, I just disagree. Portland, thank
Yep.
you for coming on. For now, to the void.
I gotta go pee again.
No, go pee again.
I'm drinking a lot of water.
We got time for maybe one, maybe two more, but probably just one. Yeah, I think it's a little weird, right? The shirt isn't. It doesn't have to be disruptive, right? It's no more disruptive. Wearing this shirt into a very liberal state is no more disruptive than wearing a pride flag on your shirt in a very rural or conservative state, right? Wearing a pride flag on your shirt in the Bible Belt, it's going to be disruptive and provocative to an extent. It is. I will grant you that. But I would rather, right, we allow that than ban it for both. Because if you don't want this to be an arbitrary system, you have to hold people to the same standards. And if you are going to say that one of these things violates these standards, the standard of a serious disruption in classroom, then you have to say the other does, because the same arguments are made for both. So no, you don't want to ban either of these things from happening. And I don't care if it's somewhat disruptive to the learning atmosphere because a few kids get really upset when you say a thing that they don't like. They need to learn a lesson. And one of that, stop, Durka, let me finish ranting. And one of the lessons they need to learn, is you don't get to silence people because you don't like what they're saying, right? You don't get to be violent. You don't get to bully. You don't get to harass. You don't get to attack because you don't like what they're saying, right? Obviously, more people should have learned this lesson a long time ago. But now that they haven't learned this lesson, it's time for the federal government, kiddies, to teach you this lesson the hard way, right? And so this school district is going to get sued to the fucking ground, right? If I was a parent of this child, I would sue them into the ground. I would make so much money off of this case because this is a clear violation of the students' rights. Clearly.
Based.
Anyway, next person. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
No much.
Hey, what you got for us?
Let me hang on just a second. Let me turn this on. All right, so that last discussion that you all were talking about. So I don't think that any political statement, no matter what it is, good or bad, make America great or riding with Biden, should be allowed on a t-shirt in school. I don't think you should have any sort of gay pride flags, trans flags, any of that stuff in teachers' classrooms. Anything that causes controversy in a school setting, that takes away from what they are there to do, which is learn, should be allowed in the classroom at all. Period.
Okay. But do you think that these students should learn how to deal with opposing views?
They can do that somewhere else.
But they're really not going to have anywhere else to learn that. All they know is their parents and their friends and their little bubble, and I think they should be exposed to these things because it's out there.
Yeah, I disagree because when you cause controversy in school, and it could cause people to be bullied, right? Even if it's a trans person going to school wearing a trans, a flag, right? And I am a Trumper, which I'm not, but if I was a MAGA and I want to wear my Make America Great t-shirt, and I get sent home and they don't because it's not affirmed, it's going to cause problems. That's going to cause.
Right. That's why it should all be allowed.
Don't
allow any of it. Don't allow any of it.
I think.
Period.
Let me give you an argument why I think political statements should be allowed on both ends. Right. Like I think that both the Trump shirt and the trans shirt should both be allowed, because I think that one of the things that we should instill in our youth, one of the values I would like to impart in our youth, and an education system is absolutely a place for the culture to instill values into children. It's absolutely a place for that. I think that the value of diversity of opinions trumps, in my opinion, the value of being safe and secure for a learning environment. I think that one of the lessons they should learn is how to have a non-disruptive learning environment while having a variety of opinions and diversity of thought within a classroom setting. And I think that should be done at an early age.
What do you think's going to happen when they go into the workforce and then they meet a trans person, a gay person, a Muslim? What do you think these people are getting? They're not going to have any background and stepping stones of how to deal with people with completely different views.
I didn't say that we need to discriminate against them at all. What I'm saying is okay, let me put it this way. Do you think teachers should be teaching their personal morals to our kids in school?
No.
Okay. Do you think that flying a Black Lives Matter flag in a classroom is okay?
What? Sorry, in the classroom or the student?
Yeah, in the classroom.
It?
In the classroom, as a teacher doing it. So does that?
No.
So are we saying it's only students that can do this and not teachers?
Yeah, the teachers should not be inferring any of their beliefs and instilling it, but it should just be allowed that all the children are expressing themselves, whichever way they wish, as long as it's not lewd and whatever, right? Yeah.
So you don't. I believe it distracts from what they're there to do, which is to learn.
But they're going to be distracted in the real world.
I agree, but I'm talking about school, not the real world, right?
Right, but they're going to have to learn how to deal with that. They're going to be a sensitive individual, a special snowflake who never steps outside of their super right family. Like I'm super left, and I've talked to people who felt like they didn't know that being gay was okay because it was just instilled in them. There needs to be a variety at school. That's where we have the melting pot of ideas.
But listen, I grew up in a super conservative home as well. Right, went to Catholic school up until I was 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Going on, you had to wear uniforms and stuff.
Yeah.
We had people in my high school, and I'm in rural Kentucky, that were gay, right? Mm-hmm. And we had no problems with them, right? None at all. Mm-hmm. I was exposed to that, but we didn't have. We weren't allowed to wear clothing that could possibly offend somebody else.
Well, you were wearing uniforms.
So-
I did the same thing.
No. In public school, I went to public school from 6th grade on.
Oh, okay.
We had in my public school, we weren't allowed to wear anything like that. Any kind of political T-shirts was banned. You weren't allowed to wear them. Anything. Of course, we didn't have a trans flag back then, or this was in the 90s because I'm in 40s, so we didn't have all that back then, right? But things that were controversial at the time were not allowed. You weren't allowed to wear any T-shirts that had any of that on it, and we seemed to get along just fine, right? And I'm a well-adjusted person.
Wait. Yeah. But like, hold on. Just because you are the one off who still accepted people like that, like I don't think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but was your family saying gay people are bad?
Yes. Yeah.
Really? Your family was like that? That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I've got.
Okay, so
I've
how did
people.
you,
Wait a
how
minute,
did you
I had
learn?
people
Wait,
today.
how did
that
you
still
learn
say
that they were wrong? How did you learn that they were wrong?
Because I talked to them. I talked to people that were
gay. Yeah. So when you talk to
but
a
it didn't
person,
require a T-shirt to do that. Is what I'm saying. It go ahead.
Well, like, yeah. So you might not even know that someone is Black Lives Matter and someone's a Trump supporter unless they show this. And then when you talk to a person who's wearing that, and you're like, oh, you're just human too, and we both like this video game. Like it's.
That's my point. If they don't wear a T-shirt, I don't know, and I get to know them, not the political stance on the T-shirt.
But
then,
eventually
when
you're
they
going to
can-
know them.
Well, yeah, eventually I will, right? But I'm not automatically going to dismiss that person because they're wearing a trans flag shirt or a Black Lives Matter shirt or a MAGA shirt, which you might, which actually a lot of people would, just because they're not even going to get to know them first. So,
I'll say this. I do not think conflict avoidance in school is a good thing.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that even though it might be wiser, right, to do it one way, and it very well might be, I think allowing an individual, a child even, to express themselves trumps the collective wiser way. If I want to do something that to express myself in a way that hurts myself, to some extent that should be allowed even for children, right? If I want to wear, like, maybe I'll get made fun of if I wore a dress to school as a boy, right? If I was a 10-year-old boy and I wanted to wear a dress to school, yeah, I would. That was probably not wise. I'm probably going to get bullied for it, right? It's probably not going to be good for my social standing. But if I wanted to do that, the school should not be able to stop me.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And so,
I agree
but
with that.
you can see how that would be very disruptive, right? How that could be very
but that's
disruptive,
different.
very
That's a different
controversial.
category.
What is different? What is the difference between a boy wearing a dress to school versus a boy wearing a shirt that says "Make America Great Again," or a shirt that's a pride flag, or a shirt that says there are only two genders?
Well, there are exceptions to the rule because they're expressing their gender, right? They're not, or what they're feeling at the time,
But
right?
some people might not believe that trans people are real. Like, you know what I mean? It's disrupting them.
I agree with that. There are people that believe that, of course.
Right.
I agree
So they're
with
going to
that.
have to just learn to deal with it.
Well, there are exceptions to every rule, and so I think you found the exception.
Okay.
But
okay, I've destroyed you with facts and logic.
Your stance is really just that's real. Yeah.
I just think I think also I would even go so far to say is that I think teachers should be allowed to express their personal opinions to an extent, right? I think they should, if they want to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt, they should be able to do so. But if they want to wear a Make America Great Again shirt, they should also be able to do so.
Right. But I don't think they should have the flags in the classroom.
No.
Yeah.
They're there to teach. They're not there to give me their views to my children.
That's
They're there to
true.
teach.
That's true. But they also don't lose their First Amendment rights when they walk through the classroom doors, right? They just don't.
Well, I mean, you're employed.
Yeah, you're employed.
You're an employee. That's a little
You
different.
do lose
right?
rights as an employee with dress code.
Yeah, I mean, you have to follow
an
certain. You
extent.
couldn't come in naked per se, right?
To an extent.
I'm going to wear my bra and
But
panties today to school.
I do think
you
that
know.
like some of the laws around employment when it comes to expressing yourself as an employer are pretty invasive and oppressive. I think that more people need to be like, for example, do you think someone should be fired if they attend a gay pride event? Do you think that that they should be fired? What about if they attended a white power rally?
No.
Okay.
What if
Neither
they
do I.
wore giant freaking fake tits?
Oh, that was so disgusting.
That was so disgusting, wasn't it? It was like,
God.
that's what you think a woman
Now
is? You
that
fucking
is a
nut job?
distraction. That's a distraction.
Okay.
I mean that.
Dude, they
that's
didn't even
pushing a
tie
little.
up their hair when they're using the chop saw. That is 101 shop.
Wick, are you wanting me to roll out of here? Is that what it is?
No.
You're ready for me to go.
No, well, we're going to get you to the void in a second, but I just have one last question for you before you go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
If you had a child, I don't know anything about you, but
I've got 3 kids.
Fair enough. If one of your children wanted to wear their political, say they were a communist for whatever reason, right? And they wanted to wear a Karl Marx shirt, would you let them to do that? Even though you live in a very conservative, let's say you do, I don't know if you do, but let's say you lived in a very conservative area, very capitalist friendly area, and you knew that they were probably going to catch some flack from wearing that shirt. Would you let them wear it?
Not to school.
Not to school.
To the mall? Yes.
Okay. Well, Killian, thank
All
you
right.
for being here. Really appreciate
it. Thank you both.
Have a great day.
All right.
Very refreshing. Thank you.
To the void. To the void. I don't think that's not how I would do it. That's not what I advocate for. I don't think the courts agree with Portland or these other people. I think the courts have expressed time and time again that students have the right to wear provocative things on their clothing, right? They have they have a right to wear whatever they want. Like there are restrictions like lewd, vulgar. I think we did that, right?
I had this favorite shirt. It was green. It was just a t-shirt, and it had like a stick figure head on it with a pot on his head, and it just said pot head. And I got away with it because I'm like, teachers, it's just a pot on a head. Like, see, it's like actually showing you what the word means.
And I disagree with the courts. I think that kids should be able to wear like illegal drug use T-shirts if they wanted, right? I think that's fine. But that's the courts have ruled that is illegal, and that is something that the school systems can make you change or punish you for wearing. But again, I don't think that the shirt in question meets the level of disruption in a legal sense at all. And I think it's kind of silly to argue that it does. It just doesn't have any grounding in reality. And that's fine, right?
Because it was a shirt that was granted in reality.
Look, we're gonna have that debate Friday between President Sunday and Lav. And they're going to be talking about what is a woman and gender and things like that. Okay, what do we got coming up, gang? Okay, we are winding down. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, Tits and Twitch. We're going to be talking about hot tub streams. We're going to talk about OnlyFans. We're going to be talking about whether any of that should be allowed on this platform. Tune in, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have Mind Waves on there. We're going to have Brianna Wu, Madam Genevieve, a few others. Be great. Check it out.
Madam Genevieve is great.
No stream on Thursday. Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll be President Sunday versus Lavlo on What is a Woman. Tune in, gang. If you like the program and you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you are on Twitch, hit that follow button. Give me subs. Throw some bits out to me. Did you guys like the show? Jerka, did you enjoy the show?
Nah.
Nah? Just nah?
Of
Okay,
course,
fair enough.
yeah.
Okay. But we're going to rate out where are we going, gang? Who's streaming? You know who we haven't been to in a while? I mean, hey, if you really wanted me to. Let's go see some non-political streamers, gang. Let's go talk to Witchy Mommy. Make sure you spam those emotes if you got them in chat. Let her know that this is a hate raid, in fact, and say hi. But for now,
Bye-bye.
see you guys tomorrow.